It all comes down to this. Welcome to day 5 of the Fixed Ops Week with the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We've raced through a week of big ideas, bold strategies, and expert insight, and now it's time for the victory lap. Here to help us wave that checkered flag is your host, Isabella Stevens.
Good morning. I'm Isabella Stevens from Northwood University, and this is it, the moment we've all been building towards. Welcome to day 5 of the biggest stage in fixed ops. All week long, the industry's boldest leaders and game-changing innovators have brought the heat. And today, we close it out with a grand finale that's built to drive real results. So whether you're here for that final breakthrough idea, a strategy that moves the needle, or just the one insight that changes everything, you're in the right place. Let's finish strong. Let's finish loud. Day 5 starts right now. Don't just watch the show, be part of it. Jump into the chat on the right side of your screen and make sure you have everyone selected, not just hosts and panelists. We want to hear from you, so get in there and make some noise with us. Please welcome our first speaker, the go-to parts girl, Kaylee Felio.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have Kaylee Felio of PartsEdge. And Ted, lots of conversations in the industry today around parts best practices.
Kaylee, it's always top of mind, but maybe never more than right now. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Thanks for all you do to put parts on the radar. I've never seen such an appreciation of parts, and I know we've had many discussions over the years, but this really is the year of the parts department. People are focused on it, and people are getting excited about parts, Kaylee. I've never seen that, but it's happening now.
It's funny you say that because it's been such a whirlwind of looking back and seeing how the conversations are changing and just actually seeing dealers and general managers getting involved in the conversations is just huge and really rewarding to see. So I'm excited to talk about it today.
We've had the discussion about obsolescence a couple times before. And, as you and I, and we talked about in the green room, sometimes a dealer or a manager may say, I've got that problem solved or licked. Do they really? Okay. Because isn't that something we have to keep on top of consistently every day, every week, every month, and not just once a year? And talk to us a little bit about that, because you help dealers not in buying their obsolescence, but in coaching them and to make them aware of things they need to do every day to make sure it's not going to be an issue later. Speak to us about that.
Yeah, I always say like we work on stopping the bleeding, especially if it's a huge obsolescence problem. And a lot of times, the parts managers we work with did inherit. There's someone who retired or just, I don't want to say bad hire, but just, bad process, whatever. A lot of times it is inherited. And it's a lot to come into an operation and that be on top of all the other things you have to focus on. And then to
Mm.
have that like thing on your shoulder, that giant obsolescence issue. Because the other thing I think that isn't realized is that someone takes over and they have all that obsolescence, it's going to keep on aging. There's going to be like those bad
Mm.
mistakes for 12 months ago. They're going to keep on aging. And then they're going to be like, why is it growing? It's like, well, it's growing because it's continuously aging. So I just wanted to point that out because I think that's a huge frustration. I think that happens because of the disconnect with like a GM looking at the numbers and the parts manager's like, I'm not buying this stuff. It's just aging. So I rambled, but yeah.
Well, Kaylee, it is a very relevant topic, and one of the areas that we see it across the industry. So there's a lot of purchasing of dealerships happening. There's a lot of entities and companies that are buying other dealerships, and in between the process of acquiring new stores and switching systems and looking at different things, that's a common area where we see obsolescence sneak into the equation. So what best practices do you see? To like, as you mentioned, this is something as time marches on, it just keeps compounding and aging. But what are some of the best practices from the setup to be prepared for when you're taking on a new dealership or a new parts department if you're just coming to work for a new organization?
Well, I know that in a lot of those negotiations, you can negotiate with the manufacturer on getting rid of that obsolescence. So I think that's the first step is like figuring out how you can, get all that data and then figure out what is actually obsolete and negotiate that into the deal. And then if that doesn't happen, then it's really just knowing what that number is and knowing where that data is and putting into place especially with the amount of migrations happening with or conversions I should call it to new DMSs it's increased so much over the last couple years. And that's another thing that happens is like the setups of a DMS were set up by maybe two managers ago or wasn't even really reviewed, and the DMS providers just copy over, and it's not really their fault. They just copy over what was set up. So
You're
I think
right.
that's
Right.
sorry, go ahead, Ted.
You're right. You're exactly right. That's what happens. It gets handed down, and who set that up? It was set up a while back by somebody else who's not even here anymore.
Yeah, and it creates this lack of trust in the system. No one really knows. Like I'll talk to some parts managers where they do have 30 sources, but they're only using 5 because they're not quite sure. And it's like to take the time to really go through that is not something I think that should be expected of a parts manager. I think it's a lot more, there's a lot more layers. It's almost like an onion. There's a lot more layers to it than it as simple as just like, oh, let's just set this up and hope it works. There's a lot of layers to it.
Well, and Kaylee, another element in this equation, I've heard a little bit of debate about what an acceptable percentage of obsolescence is. And I don't know, share with our audience today, because again, we have a mix of people from general managers to dealer principals. We do have, fixed operations and of course parts managers listening too. But let's start there. What is, a typical obsolescence percentage, and how do you really effectively know that that's the correct metric for your business?
Oh man, that's such a big, like, good question. So I'm going to say that the goal should always be 0. But is that realistic? It can be achieved, right? Like there are some dealerships we work with, GM, there's some Chrysler ones out there that they maintain a very, very low percentage. They work very hard at it. But I think realistically, it's not a broad number. I think it depends on the manufacturer because there are different manufacturer programs. There's different auto stock
Mhm.
replenishment programs. Honda doesn't have one. Toyota doesn't have one. Toyota, you can send pretty much anything back under $8. So like that's more realistic. You can't just set this broad. I think historically NADA has always said like what 11, 10, 12%, I think is the goal. We like to shoot for 0 because it's like, come on. But the other question we should be asking ourselves is how much is enough to be writing off? Because I think that some dealerships, even the bigger ones, are like, we're just going to write it off at the end of the year. It's whatever. We take the hit. What if you could write off half the amount? Like, that's what you should be asking yourself. Why is it this like, oh, it's what we always do. We just always write it off. So I think, I hope I answered your question, but I've seen like the GMs, the Chryslers of the world, 20-ish, 25% is realistic.
Wow.
But I don't want to put that number out there because it's like you should be shooting for 0 and you can't achieve it. The other big component too is with those manufacturer programs is really looking at your protected inventory and your non-protected inventory. You have a lot more non-protected inventory than I think a lot of dealerships realize. That's really where you have to focus on the obsolescence and the inventory. So
Kaylee, here we are. We're in the middle of the second quarter. We're still in May, but what do dealerships need to be doing today and every day so that at the end of the year we're not having this big obsolescence discussion and worrying about it then? What are the things that we need? Because I think the key to everything in life is going to be consistency and balance and doing things day and keeping an eye on things every single day, not letting it build up. What are some of the Sarah mentioned best practices, but what are some of the things that you see that better dealers are doing, to keep that obsolescence in check so that we don't have a problem later?
The best parts managers have the best control over their special orders. That's your number one cause of obsolescence. Along with, there's like 5 main causes, but the best ones I see have a really good process on staying on top of special orders. Their shelf is organized, clean. They know what's going on. So I think that's the biggest thing without having to like add new technology or do something crazy. It's like, look at your special orders. The other thing, with our clients is just giving those detailed reports on a consistent basis. So like having access to your non-controlled inventory or non-rim, non-aero. I'm just kind of throwing out the terms because I think everyone thinks of them differently, but your non-controlled returnable parts, staying on top of that. A lot of manufacturers have like a 60-day return where you pay a percentage, but you can send it back. And then like I had mentioned, the special orders, we classify it as forced stock. So nothing that met your best stocking level that is in your system. So getting that detail to your parts managers to review that on a consistent basis, really just kind of, it's not just as simple as just looking at a report in your obsolescence. You have to look at a lot of components. So that's where I'm just kind of highlighting like the reports that you have to look at on a consistent basis. That should help.
Maybe not as easy as the used cars, right? Which is a bigger number and sticks out a little bit more. But this is the inventory you need to keep track of, and Sarah, be watchful of throughout the year, especially now as we come into the end of the second quarter and now into summer and so on. Sarah.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, Ted. It is a big number, but a lot more SKUs, right? Like, like I always say, like we make anywhere between 200, 300 changes to a system every single day. And those are like individual parts. You times that by 30, that's a lot. There's just a lot of data and a lot of parts rather than like a used car that's big and sticks out. So that's a good point.
Sarah, I'm thinking also some of our dealer friends who are watching have gone through DMS changes this year and in the last year where they literally changed the DMS that they're on, right? And Sarah, I'm wondering if that's also a red flag, when it comes to my parts inventory and being able to be aware, Sarah, of what I'm stocking.
No, you're so right, Ted. And there's little nuances between, as Kaylee pointed out, you can't just simply rely on the reporting methodology that's handed to you. There's a lot of nuances in all of these different reports, and you can have in DMS systems 10, 15 different reports with slightly different names. and get completely different data because it's looking at tiny little nuances in the difference of how the logic of that report is being crafted. And Kaylee, this is a more important topic than ever for parts departments, and PartsEdge is right at the center of helping dealerships with these best practices.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible to see, and I love what we can do for parts managers. And I always like to say, because I hate saying it's just about reporting, but it really does make a difference, because if you think about having to pull 5 different reports and then become an expert on Excel and how to, compile and, convert, I don't know the right terms, but there's a lot of parts managers out there doing a great job at it, but that's a lot to do regularly. So simplify it.
A lot happening. Kaylee, you put the focus on parts for the audience watching. If they want to reach out, because you got a lot of resources. We know that you've cornered the market on the podcasts, okay, and on the video conversations and audio conversations and parts. But you've got other resources. You've got ebooks. You've got things that a lot of dealers may not be aware of. What's the best way for our audience to reach out and find that library of resources that PartsEdge has got, and how you can help them?
Yeah, it's our website. So go to partsedge.com. We have so many resources. So we have a parts manager quiz. You can figure out what type of parts manager you are, and you get a tip sheet based off that quiz. We have our ebooks. We do webinars every month. And then I have the podcast where I feature the webinars, but then I also have kind of those, individual conversations about the industry. So I'm doing a lot of different areas, but it seems to be really well received, and a lot of people are getting a lot out of it. So we're just going to keep on doing it. The last few webinars, just to shout them out, last month we did monthly reconciliation. So we provided reconciliation forms for per DMS provider. We go over matrix pricing and gross all the time. That's like every 3 months, I feel like we cover that. And then we talk about just inventory control, those types of things. So just to shout out some of the topics.
All right. Sarah, it's an exciting time for fixed ops, and especially for parts right now.
It is, Ted. And Kaylee, Felio, thank you for sharing your expertise with our audience today. And Ted and I are looking forward to unpacking even more best practices at future Roundtable events.
Kaylee, thank you for all you do. Kaylee, Felio, everybody, the sales and marketing manager at PartsEdge. Visit them on the web at partsedge.com. You see Kaylee's email scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Kaylee, Felio here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Parts managers run million-dollar inventories inside outdated systems that were never fully set up for how parts departments actually operate. Most dealerships don't have an inventory problem. They have a visibility and structure problem inside the DMS. That's where PartsEdge comes in. PartsEdge works inside your DMS to structure inventory the right way, by movement, behavior, and real-world demand. We design and maintain smart stocking source templates, act as a co-pilot for daily inventory decisions, and deliver clear reporting that shows exactly what needs attention and why. We're not a manufacturer automated replenishment system, and we're not a one-time consultant. PartsEdge is ongoing support for parts managers who want control, not chaos. Across hundreds of inventories, PartsEdge has helped dealerships reclaim hundreds of thousands of dollars and unlock 20% parts sales growth by fixing structure, not spending more. Parts managers deserve better tools for one of the largest cash investments at the dealership. Every part on the shelf is a financial decision. Are yours working for you?
Announcing CarKey, an industry-exclusive e-commerce website. CarKey puts a vast inventory of OEM experience parts at your fingertips 24/7. Only automotive professionals who work at OEM dealerships, franchises, and independent repair facilities have digital self-serve access to these affordable and high-quality parts. CarKey helps you locate OEM experience parts quickly to get your customers back on the road fast. Plus, the CarKey site couldn't be more intuitive or easy to use. With CarKey, you now have a window into OEM experience parts that you were never able to access so quickly before. Instead of picking up the phone and making numerous calls to recycle parts companies describing the parts you need, everything is accessed through the CarKey website. Using the industry-exclusive CarKey, you can now source high-quality OEM experience parts quickly, at affordable prices, and with improved order accuracy to better serve your customers.
Paul Elliott from Insurance Office of America is bringing clarity, confidence, and a few things you'll want to tighten up in our next segment.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today, Ted, we have an exciting panel with Paul Elliott, Risk Management Specialist at Insurance Office of America. And Ted, lots of incredible information we're going to find out today.
Sarah, you're right. A lot ahead with Paul Elliott, Insurance Office of America. Paul, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Sarah. Just so happy to be a part of this community and appreciate all that you and your team, all that you do for the industry is fantastic. And glad to be here.
Thank you.
Well, Paul, I know we are going to be talking today specifically about error and omissions, which is a very sensitive subject, Ted, for our dealers today. I know recently, Paul, the FTC has issued some warnings and some fines to the dealerships, some dealerships across the United States. And Paul, a lot of attention is being paid right now on some of these important areas.
Absolutely. It is, it's an interesting time in the business, especially when you mention the letters FTC. That gets everyone's attention really quick. And considering 97 letters went out, warning letters, everybody I think is on notice that if we need to button everything up and make sure we're doing things the right way to avoid any potential. I don't know if you would want to call it loss or damages, whatever you might want to call it, but you better button your advertising up, or because you're already on their radar.
Well, Paul, to also kick things off with some scenarios that we're going to run by you today. But before we get into those, we want to just set the stage because, for our dealer audience that may not be aware what an AEO claim is and talking about errors and exposure, could you just share with us briefly, what does that mean and why is it important for dealerships?
So, AEO stands for Agents, Errors, and Omissions, and this is what you might find in a garage policy. You might find your truth in lending, truth in leasing, statutory vehicle disclosure errors, title errors and omissions, things of that nature. And you'll find that in your policy. You have coverage for that. But that's where these type of claims or these type of scenarios happen.
It's incredible stuff, Ted. And Ted, I think we have some exciting pieces that we're going to unpack today. If I can go first,
Yes.
Paul, I know that we've prepared and we've found out that there's very real scenarios that have happened to dealerships, and these are a little bit of a warning, warning stories on how they happen and where we can have some resolution and some solutions. So first, I would love to give you a scenario that really happened,
Okay.
and then have you talk to us about what tips that you have, to prevent these scenarios from happening.
All right. All right.
Okay. Well, first, truth in lending. So for this particular one, Paul, a finance manager disclosed an incorrect APR on a retail installment contract. And the bank identified the discrepancy, and the customer ended up filing suit, alleging that there was a violation in the Truth in Lending Act for failure to provide accurate credit cost disclosures. So what does that exact situation mean, and what tips do you have for avoiding it?
So, obviously don't want to get too in the weeds, but more than likely in this particular case, maybe the credit was better than was presented to the bank or the lender. And as a result, that increased the cost to the customer over the life of the loan. So one of the things you would want to do, and dealers are really good at this, but you should require secondary review of all finance disclosures prior to contract execution. That's one of the first things. But it's always great to have two sets of eyes. You see and hear things different than I do, and it's really good to make that part of your practice. You need to use system generated calculations rather than manual APR inputs. And I don't know what AI means yet. We're all still learning AI, but I'm sure AI will be a part of these of these prevention tips as well at some point. You want to provide recurring truth in lending training for your F&I personnel. I mean, training and compliance training, it just has to be consistent. It has to be a discipline, just something you continue to do all the time. And then you need to maintain, final executed disclosures in every deal jacket. They got to be there.
That makes a lot of sense. Paul, another scenario that I want to discuss with you and Sarah is odometer disclosure. Before we do, there's been some news on the Fixed Ops Roundtable that even though we have electronic odometers today in the industry, there are still odometers with fraudulent information out there and tools available to people on the web who can actually alter those odometers. And there's been an uptick seriously in our industry of dealers seeing that. But for the discussion we're having today, this was a disclosure of a vehicle sold with an odometer that was completed incorrectly because somebody transposed the digits and they understated the mileage. Sounds like it could be easy to happen. And the customer alleged that there was statutory odometer violations and sought damages for diminished value of the vehicle.
You think about that, Ted, and I don't know. Let's say in this particular case there were 27,000 miles, and it ended up going 72, or actually there were 72,000 miles, and it's shown as 27,000 miles, right? So yeah, look at me. I'm just butchering the numbers there, but you get the drift. 72,000 versus 27, and that's a much different car. Big difference between 27 and 72 for a car, and as a result, that's going to be a problem for the dealer, and it's just a simple error. So some of the things that you want to do is you want to require verification of odometer entries against vehicle dashboard readings. So when you're writing it down, instead of doing it at a desk, let's do it at the odometer. Right? I mean, it's hard. It takes time, but in the long run, it's going to save you money. Again, said it in the first scenario. Implement a second check process. Two sets of eyes, always better than one.
Yep.
You want to standardize your odometer disclosure completion across all locations. You got it, all departments, or everyone that's in the organization. Make sure it's standardized. Everybody does the same process every time. And then retain signed odometer documentation with each and every deal file.
Yep.
Paul,
And I want to add one thing. I was in a dealership one time. There were twin brothers that were dealers. We were out in an older part of the dealership, and he actually showed me an old, I mean, he was like fourth generation dealer, but he showed me an old odometer rollback device. So I don't know if I should say that, but I was like, wow. I mean, I've never seen one of those before, and I haven't seen one since.
Yeah, well, I understand there's some newer variations of that are out there. So
The thieves are always working. Okay.
yeah, yep.
Sorry.
No, but it's more
maybe
important
thief
than
is
ever.
a strong word, but there are people that are deceptive.
Yeah, and
Intentionally.
dealers have to be vigilant, and managers have to be vigilant, not just on the sales side, on the fixed ops side, because the first person to look at that car might be the technician, might be the advisor, and in days past, we on a used vehicle, new vehicle, of course, very few miles, but we had to go out and look at the car. We had to actually get the odometer mileage on there, and that still holds true today.
Well, and Ted, on the odometer track, and talking about technicians in the service department, today more often than in previous years, we're seeing more vehicle acquisitions happening on the service drive. We're seeing a lot more used cars being purchased, for dealerships, and a lot of potential scenarios where there could be some problems with that used vehicle purchase and some incorrect information. So, Paul, for this next scenario, prior damage disclosure, that can be a very sensitive subject when it comes to used vehicles. So, in this specific example, a vehicle had prior rear end collision damage that was fully repaired, but it was not disclosed at the point of sale. And the dealership failed to obtain a signed customer acknowledgement of that damage. And so the customer later discovered the damage and then sued for financial loss and diminished value as a result.
That's right. So once again, just some prevention tips here. We have to establish written standards defining, what constitutes disclosable damage. Not everything has to be disclosed, but you need to know what has to be, or you're going to find yourself in this situation.
Okay.
Require signed customer acknowledgments for all prior damage disclosure. That's key. You need to make the customer sign the document. Apply disclosure standards consistently, regardless of repair quality, and then maintain vehicle history reports within each deal jacket. So a lot of places to get that information these days. Print it out, make it a part of the deal.
And Paul, I'm thinking now with the addition of ADAS technology in pretty much every vehicle over the last 10 years now, when a vehicle is repaired, they have to be calibrating these things, the mirrors, the lights, all these new requirements. And a lot of that damage, if it's not disclosed, could come up later, okay, in an ADAS that's not calibrated correctly, and dealers could leave themselves open, for liability on that.
100%. And what I can tell you is when we see these claims in our office and our team, those people that have the information documented, it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the documentation, you don't have the information, then that leads to more questions and generally leads to a bigger check.
That written process, Sarah, that Paul's referring to, has got to be, it's going to have to be built into the recon process if it's not already, and have that established, and being able to verify and point to that yes, we do have that. So important.
It is, Ted, and Paul. All of these components just, again, there's a lot of potential errors. There's a lot of potential opportunities for there to be omissions, either accidentally or because a process wasn't executed correctly.
It's good habits, bad habits. This has to be a habit, and it has to be something that you just do over and over and over and over. And what I would say on just for example, on prior damage disclosure, the dealers that we work with that are that we don't see these claims on have a 27-point inspection, 37, whatever it may be, but there's a process, and it is the same for each and every unit that leaves the dealership.
So important, Paul. And our last scenario today that we want to run by you. So This has to do with agents' error and omissions. And, there are third-party insurance agents that are employed by the dealership that do write a lot of policies for the storage. So in this particular one, a licensed insurance agent that was employed by the dealership failed to bind physical damage coverage purchased by the customer. And what that meant later was that the vehicle ended up sustaining some hail damage, and surprise, the policy didn't cover it, and so the customer sued the dealership for failure to procure coverage.
So, obviously, this is something. I mean, you think about the number of transactions maybe in an insurance firm or an insurance agency for personal lines insurance. Well, basically, that's the way this particular agent is acting for the dealership in this case, and they're placing the insurance for the customer at point of sale. So the customer was fine if they ran over someone or made contact with someone, and they were liable for that, but they had no coverage for that damage to their vehicle. And in this case, they did not have coverage as a result of the hail damage. So there's processes that certainly our team can help you put into place if this is something you need help with, to confirm that insurance binding is in writing prior to the vehicle delivery, to make sure that coverage is there and it doesn't leave the dealership without it. We limit transactions to properly licensed personnel. We don't have the only hand in the cookie jar is the licensed insurance agent, and that's the way it should be. Otherwise, you're I don't want to say you're breaking the law, but you're putting yourself in peril. You need to retain proof of binding and issue policy. So one thing I will say, if you're in the insurance business, just because you bind coverage doesn't mean the policy actually comes back with coverage. So you need to check the application against the actual issue policy. Again, a second set of eyes.
And actually look at it. Yes. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, people, we're human. We make errors. Okay. That doesn't mean that an underwriter, an insurance company, can't leave off of coverage. Not intentionally, but it can happen. So you just want to make sure whatever you applied for is what the insurance carrier issued. And we have those processes here at our firm. We work with someone, we tell the underwriter what we need. We issue a proposal, we bind that proposal, and then we have somebody take a second look to see if anything's missed, and we address it. And then you want to clearly differentiate insurance products from non-insurance offerings. So, you just want to make sure, this is an insurance product, this is not.
Paul, you work with dealers specifically. You're part of that dealer practice group,
Correct.
IOA. And I mean, you have seen a lot. I mean, I imagine in our careers, we all see a lot, but you see more than others. Okay. You work with dealers. You're a trusted advisor to dealers. Tell us more about the work that you do at IOA and how you help dealers.
Happy to, Ted. We're very proud of our practice here. We have a practice group. So we have a team of people that support me and support others all across our 70 plus locations around the country. We're now part of Navicord is part of us up in Canada. They're the second largest broker. We currently in the U.S. place a little over $35 million in premium for franchised and independent dealerships. That could be work comp, that could be garage liability, may even be employee benefits as well. But I think we serve right now over 350 dealers, and we're really good at it. And I say that with a lot of confidence. We're good in this space. We've got, great competition. There's competition in everything, but we feel like we're better because of our process. And we try. One thing I like to say is nobody likes talking to 4 or 5 insurance agents. I mean, I get it. I don't. If I'm shopping my personal home insurance, I don't want to deal with 5 people like me. So what I would tell you is we try to make the experience one that is consultative. Okay. Like this is not a situation, like we want you to view us more like your banker, your attorney, people that you trust. I mean, because there's a lot at risk. There's a lot going on. There are a lot of moving parts in an auto dealership. 5 different businesses, 6 different businesses sometimes.
Yes.
And you need to do more than bid your insurance. If you're bidding your insurance, you're stuck in the 70s. Okay, that's what you did in the 70s. This is a different game. There's too much at risk, and I think we have a proven process to make sure you're protected, to protect your balance sheet, to protect your checkbook.
Well, Paul, it's more important than ever to have great best practices in place to prevent loss. And again, thank you so much for sharing these incredible scenarios with us and some best practices for our dealer audience to avoid some of these potential scenarios from happening. For our audience, if they have more questions, if they're curious about specific scenarios that they may have or potential scenarios, what's the best first step for them to reach out?
Obviously the email is running across the bottom there. I mean, we all love using email, so just email me. That we'll return your email within 24 hours, if not sooner. That's our standard here. We are happy to work for people. We have tons of resources available to dealers. Just great people behind me, supporting me. Obviously phone. I mean, my number's not here, but 205-908-8792. I'm available 24/7. If I'm awake, I'll answer. If I don't, I'll get back to you within 24 hours. And, we love to serve people. That's what we're here to do. We're here to serve first. And we are ready to do that. So reach out anytime.
And if you haven't noticed, Sarah, not only is Paul very active on social media like LinkedIn, but I see the videos now. He's becoming the face, of this. So Paul, keep it going, keep it up, because people see that and they see you. And I know that when they have questions, we want them to come to Paul Elliott, because you know this space better than anybody. And we have great respect for what you do there at the Insurance Office of America, Paul Elliott.
Well, thank you for the very kind words, Ted. And if I can just get half as good or do half as well as Sarah does with her videos, I'm going to be great. I mean, she is just crushing it. So maybe I got to get a new camera or something. Maybe that's something for us to talk about offline, Sarah. But you do a fantastic job. Y'all do a fantastic job. Again, great. So happy to be part of this community. And, I love working for all of the people that are viewing today.
Paul Elliott, everybody, highly recommended by the Fixed Ops Roundtable to our community. Reach out if you have questions to Paul directly. I know he'll answer them. He's quick to do that, and he's here to be that trusted voice that you heard just here during the segment. So, Paul, congratulations, and keep up the great work. Paul Elliott at IOA USA.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, sir.
Paul Elliott, everybody, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Every step I take feels like destiny. Game on the lock, building my legacy. The grind ain't free and it can't be bought. Grind ain't free and it can't be bought. Mind of a champion, I'm bringing every thought. I set the level, I set the tone. When the game's on the line, yeah, I'm standing alone. I set the level, I set the tone. When the game's on the line, yeah, I'm standing alone. They ain't never done it like this before. You know I'm the best, you can take that sword. They ain't never done it like this before. Set the bar high, then I raise that board.
Most businesses pay recurring expenses every month: utilities, telecom, waste services, industrial laundry, without knowing if every charge is accurate if their service levels still make sense, or if they're paying more than they should. I'm Steve Thompson, founder of Integrity Cost Consulting. For over 30 years, I've worked in accounting and finance, and I've seen how complicated these expenses can be. Our team helps verify charges, identify refunds and savings, and support your existing process without changing vendors or disrupting your operations. We need very little from you to get started, and if we don't find savings or refunds, you don't pay us. You can calculate how much we can save you by using our hidden profit calculator by visiting integritycostconsulting.com.
Join us at the Rohrman Automotive Group with the Dealer Pay Panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have the Dealer Pay Panel with us. And Ted, exciting conversations ahead with Julie and of course Jackie.
Yeah, what a great time to be in our industry. Thank you, Jackie and Julie, for being here. Dealer Pay, by the way, endorsed by is it the Illinois Dealer Association, Julie?
Correct. Yes. Yes, it is.
That is huge. And you work closely with dealer associations. I've noticed that around the country.
Yes.
Tell us just for a moment about that.
Sure. So early on in my career, I started going down that path because it actually taught me about how dealers work from a legislative perspective, but all the different things that are happening. And honestly, those associations have helped me really guide how our product works today.
Oh, and Jackie, normally Fixed Ops magazine, I had the latest copy here, is reserved for dealers in the industry, but I see that Julie Douglas from Dealer Pay is gracing this month's cover. So congratulations, Dealer Pay, for that.
Thank you very much.
Well, Julie, to set the stage today, we're going to be talking about fixed operations' most overlooked profit lever. But over the past decade, dealerships went on a massive modernization journey. CRMs talk to DMS systems, service scheduling, syncs with customer communication, and reporting tools give us insights we could not have dreamed of 10 years ago. But there's a kicker. Everything connects until money moves. And that's exactly why we're talking about this today.
Yes, and it's very true. So, all the wonderful software solutions and technologies and dealers today, they help in so many ways. Like you had mentioned, DMSs, CRMs, AI. But one of the last ones that got modernized is payments. And it used to just be considered a commodity. Well, it's not anymore because it actually is playing a part in the whole system workflow and a part of the dealership ecosystem.
And Jackie, thinking about this, if the transaction process and the funds settle, it feels like everything works fine. But what are you seeing when it comes to the dealerships that you help serve?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So with reconciliation, I know Julie talked about this earlier. That's a big part of it. When your money's moving, you want to make sure that it's being deposited quickly the next day with the next day funding. And another buzzword that we've been hearing a lot of lately is surcharging. So client surcharging is huge, and it's another way to increase profit and reduce costs within the dealership. And one of the biggest components to client surcharging is the ability for your payment processing vendor to be integrated directly with your DMS. So that's a really big component that Dealer Pay helps dealers do.
And Julie, if I may, just to follow up on surcharging, I know that you are subject matter experts at Dealer Pay on the ins and outs and the various regulations and how that may differ from state to state. But I do see more dealers now interested in surcharging than ever before, because I would think that with things having tightened up a little bit on the front side of the dealership, there's more of a focus on those costs.
Yes, absolutely. Just like Jackie said, I mean, we're seeing probably 7, maybe 8 out of 10 new Felio customers roll out a surcharge program in some capacity or the other. When we talk about fixed ops, most the lever of profitability, I mean, that component is also surcharging, being able to recover all your fees that you could have been, spending elsewhere. So Dealer Pay has done a lot of diligence on compliance. It's not, the words that people want to hear that, oh my gosh, I'm not compliant, but it really is a big thing. I mean, Visa and MasterCard are not messing around if you're not surcharging compliantly. So we've built the safeguards in our system so dealers don't have to worry about it.
Well, and Julie, I want to get practical for the dealership leaders that are listening in right now with us. How can they evaluate whether their payment systems actually align with their ecosystem and drive retained revenue?
So I think just kind of going back and watching how a transaction processes, following the transaction all the way through until the money's deposited, and looking to see how many systems or staff members have to be involved in that process. Because there could be several areas where that can be tightened up and make the dealership more efficient.
And Jackie, that efficiency, those are the pieces that the customer remembers because the transaction is really at the end of the journey, but it's the most critical part of the customer retention experience.
Yep, absolutely. I think someone mentioned this earlier, gone are the days of funneling customers to the cashier window, right? Dealers need to ensure that each one of their departments do have means to take payment. And with the payment being the last thing that the customer sees at the dealership, we want to ensure that that's a smooth and fast process for everybody.
Julie, just finally, you mentioned you're very in tune to what's happening in the industry, different regulations. What's next when it comes to payment convenience? As you look out on the horizon, what are some of the things that dealers who are watching may need to be starting to keep their eye on, or things that you are aware of that we may not be yet?
Sure. So we've got a couple things on our roadmap. One of the big ones, which you know about as well, is our mobile initiative. We're continuing to put more and more resources towards mobile, actually having, equipped terminals in the trucks or vans that go out with the necessary Wi-Fi or cellular signals. Yes. And then even, Ted, some technology where they can take pictures of a check or a driver's license for additional security and fraud prevention.
Wow. The mobile, by the way, the dealers, the report that we had back from our Fixed Ops Roundtable dealers using the Dealer Pay mobile app is tremendous. And, kudos to you for thinking about that early. And it sounds like you continue to refine it and make it better and better.
Right. Thank you. Yes, it's a great tool.
Everybody, so Dealer Pay is on the cutting edge for modern payment convenience. If you haven't talked to them yet, you need to. Julie Douglas is the leader in modern payment convenience at Dealer Pay. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
For putting all this on our radar.
Thank you.
Sarah, Vantine, and I will be right back.
Go. Hey, how would you like to pay? Card, cash, or check?
I will do a card.
Okay, thank you very much. And will you sign right here?
Sure.
Okay, have a great day.
Great, thank you.
Introducing Dealer Pay Moves, Dealer Pay's new mobile application for dealerships on the move. It's really great because all you have to do is search for your repair order. It's then going to search whichever DMS that the dealership is connected to. As you can see, it's going to pull up that customer record in that open repair order. I'm simply going to select it. Now you've got all your customer details here, including the surcharge amount if it were to be applied with a credit card. I've got options to pay by credit debit. I can key enter the transaction. I can use a paper check or even report cash. I can even add transactions in here so I can do some real-time voids and refunds. Dealer Pay Moves is a great solution for your dealership to stay relevant and mobile.
Go.
Unleash your dream ride with Bozard Built and All-American Ford on our next panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We're here with Revolution Parts, the aftermarket opportunity most dealerships are missing. And Ted, aftermarket is an important topic in the industry. And the gentleman and Amanda on our panel today are going to share a lot of incredible insights.
That's right, Sarah. We have industry experts with us here today. On the panel, Jim Sabino from the All-American Automotive Group, the King of the North in northern New Jersey, is with us. Justin McElroy, he is with Bozard Ford Lincoln, representing not only the dealership, but the brand Bozard Built, making huge strides in the industry. Welcome, gentlemen. We'd like to also welcome our subject matter experts from Revolution Parts. Amanda Poe is here, and Anthony Blubello as well, recently from retail, I may add. And everybody here has an amazing background, and thank you all for joining us today. So, Amanda, with that, tremendous opportunity right now in the industry, and I know you kind of want to set the stage. Tell us maybe some things that are just now coming to fruition.
Yeah, Ted. So we have heard for a long time from our dealers, oh, other dealers aren't my number one competition. The aftermarket is. Aftermarket suspension shops, off-road shops, speed shops, they're out there, they're upgrading vehicles, they are taking away service, service dollars from the service drive. And so for a long time, we've heard aftermarket is my number one competition. And so Revolution Parts said, how do we take aftermarket from being a competition for the dealer and make it a profit center for the dealer? And so this month, starting May 1st, we are actually launching a new product to dealers. And it is the ability for dealers to sell aftermarket catalogs direct from their Revolution Parts web store. They can sell it not only to their existing customers, but they can also sell it to new customers nationwide, which of course we've talked many times is the benefit of e-commerce. But the wonderful thing about working with Revolution Parts is you have the opportunity to have brands like Rough Country and Warren and Bilstein on your online store so that you can sell aftermarket performance upgrades to your customers, both at the point of sale in your parts department and in service. And I think these guys are going to talk today about some of the benefits of aftermarket. So I want them to talk kind of through how they got into aftermarket and how their dealerships have seen some benefits. And just knowing, I want everybody here to know, as you're hearing about the benefits of aftermarket, Revolution Parts is now making that possible for every dealer. You don't have to go out and create your own manufacturer and distributor relationships. We've already handled all the legwork for you, all the payment processing, all of the shipping. If you want to be a drop shipper, you don't want to add any new people to your dealership. We've done all the heavy lifting to allow every dealer in North America to no longer be in competition with the aftermarket, but to be creating profit centers from it.
Well, all right. Very good. Jim Sabino, hard not to notice what you're doing there at All American. You got me looking at considering a Bronco. You've done some amazing things. Talk to us about what's happening there.
Yeah, so for many years, we've been customizing vehicles in-house, and we've had a great run and continue to. And we always are innovative, right? We don't want to do cookie cutter and the same thing. We try and do as many cosmetic and performance upgrades as we can. And we also have to be aware of the manufacturer and not to avoid any type of warranty. So we're very aware of that, and that's always on our minds when we design and build these vehicles. So we have a two-part system. We build a lot for inventory, so we display on our showrooms and outside in our lots, and then we build to spec. So if a customer is interested in a specific vehicle and they want a specific rim or some paint work, we have an in-house body shop that does all of our custom paint work, exhaust systems, leveling kits, suspension lift kits, lighting packages, all kinds of great items that people love. So it's a two-part. So there's two profit centers driven to that, one for the part and one for the labor for the install. So it's like two bites of the apple. We have specific guys that are trained in our shop that do the builds. and they become kind of masters at their craft over the years doing this, because it's a very the finished product has to be on point. If you want to continue and be successful, to be recommendations and people to come back and buy more and more and more, that's the object of it, and that's what we've kind of mastered, and it's been very successful, and we continue on this journey every day. And this Revolution Parts now introducing the all-in-one, that we can now just purchase all of our needs and our commodities through them, is just an awesome beginning for us. And I really recommend other dealers out there in the country to get on board with this, because it makes it so much easier just dealing with one transaction for all of your point of purchases.
Sarah, Revolution Parts is going to make it very convenient for the Vantine family to have these shipped directly to your door.
That's right, Ted. And I'm thinking about, when I was selling cars, and then also, some of the components that my husband currently works on today when it comes to his inventory and the vehicles that are very popular here in the Carolinas. We have a lot of opportunities as dealerships to, as Amanda pointed out, to, take advantage of this marketplace, because there is a lot of interest right now. And there is a lot of opportunities where people are shopping online, they're shopping on their phones, they're looking up information. I know I'm somebody that if I see something on the street, I pull my phone out, I take a picture, I look it up in Google Lens, and I see what it is. And that's something that a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to start doing or are going to continue to do as they look at vehicles on the road or in your showroom. And this opportunity with Revolution Parts just, again, continues to drive more traffic back into that ecosystem.
Justin, what you're doing there at Bozard is really amazing. That Bozard built brand has really grown, and I was amazed when I was there just a few months back to see it. Bring us up to speed with what you're doing there at Bozard.
So yeah, it's an honor to be part of it, first and foremost, especially with my previous background in this industry. I came from finance, so about 16 years at F&I and GSM under my belt. But I always customized all my own vehicles. So when this opportunity came about, this was like a perfect happy combination for me, right? What we do here in the free reign that we have to create just really, really cool vehicles, and to separate everybody else and having something unique in this area, not only just in Florida, but we're shipping all over across the country now. The brand's spreading in such a short amount of time. I'm having a blast with it. And to have the team that I have to, execute this final product, I got the right players in place for that, for sure. But kind of like what Jim was saying with lighting and lifts and tires and just all the fun stuff that people want. It's an expression, right? It's an expression of them as an individual, and they want to stand out. We all do in this world, right? So cars are one of the first and foremost ways to do that and show what you're built of. So that's kind of what we're wrapping up and ramping up here for our production. We stock about 30 built units on the lot at all times, plus with our website, heavy marketing on that. And we have a pretty fun tool called an interactive garage that allows customers to do a virtual build and kind of get an idea for it beforehand, and that we just put into place. But one thing that we've been starting to gain a lot of success with and traction is because of my F&I background, menus. So I've developed menus for each model that breaks it down into 5 package options for you, whether it's something basic as appearance with window tint, vent visors, et cetera, just simple things, all the way up to high performance with supercharges, exhaust, tunings, everything else. And then, of course, different lifts where if you want to raise it 6 inches, drop it, put 24s on it, 37s. I mean, I've got a couple big boy builds with 40s on it right now, too, for the Super Duty lines. It tailors it to everything. And it makes it very easy for customers to pick an option with, a couple different options of wheels that are falling in the same line of price point and condense it all for them for one. So it just reduces their head scratch of how do I do this, where do I go with this, and what's available for me.
Anthony, I don't know if you noticed the hat that Justin is wearing. If you could just dip it down just a second there. He's on brand. That Bozard built logo is right there. And when our team from the Roundtable was at his store a few months ago, everybody was getting those hats, okay? And they got all the merch, Anthony. So he's on point today with everything.
Oh, I love it. I love that. I love that. The Bozard belt. I was on the website. I was looking. I mean, for anybody that is an enthusiast, instead of buying a car and then having to max out your credit card to get your goodies, why not buy one already done and just wrap it in the finance? When I was at the dealership, I was at a dealership for 20 years. I had a small stint of being what we called a closer. I'd come into a car that was pretty much sold, but they didn't sign the paperwork. Hey, we have a roof rack. Hey, we could do different wheels. We have tuner kits. We have exhaust. Just trying to add some stuff because of $5,000 in accessories could be $200 a month more. That sounds much more appealing, especially I love that Justin coming from finance. He's probably honing in on, all right, if I put this amount, here's the monthly payment. Like, it's such an easier sell. And then not to mention, you guys are backing it. And, you know, we love talking about hours in the stall with the technicians. Think about how many hours you can bill per car. I mean, you're literally helping your whole ecosystem, parts, service, and the customer. So, I mean, this is a slam dunk. And now you add it online. So this way, the whole US can tap into a car that nobody else, you know, maybe already has this sitting on the shelf. Especially, I'm looking at a 2026 Explorer rear-wheel drive with only 2 miles on it. That's all accessorized up. I'm digging this thing. I love white. And most of your cars are white. I love that. I'm in the Northeast. We don't
Beautiful ST right there. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Dude, we don't get white cars up here. So
Well.
I love it. I love it. And I have to boast about Jim. Jim, I'm not going to leave you out. I visited Jim's dealership at another one of his dealership. His Broncos, beautiful. I mean, if I had 6 figures sitting around, it would be in your pocket, Jim. No kidding.
Love that. And I see Jim's been taking notes throughout the whole thing, so I know he's taking copious notes on some of the things that we're talking about. Jim, there's a lot of great ideas that come out of this accessorizing vehicles.
Of course. And you know, you never stop learning because this is a very innovative industry, right? So there's always vendors that are coming up with new technology, new looks, new vibes. So you have to stay close. You have to stay in tune and deliver what the customers want out there. You know, and you have to separate yourself from your competitor, right? So if you know, there's a lot of great builders out there and other dealerships throughout the country. You know, Bozard Build is just huge out there. And there's a couple in California. There's, you know, Galpin, obviously everybody knows Galpin, and Ken Grody. And then you have one just above, a little north of where Justin is, up at Aikens up there. This is another big builder up there. So, and these are all Ford dealers throughout the country that are out there, big on social media that do the same exact thing. So to separate, you know, the good from the bad or the good from the average is how you design and how much your imagination goes on these vehicles, and be different. Don't be a cookie cutter. Be different. Don't be afraid to like, he's got trucks with sitting on 40s, huge, big statement. You know, and then you could do a basic, you know, you could do a 2-inch leveling kit, or you could do an 8-inch, you know, suspension lift. So you can, there's a lot of options up there. It just, again, price point and imagination. That's where you are. Those are your limitations. If you allow
it's so
it to
much
be.
fun. It's absolutely so much fun to be able to do and use that creativity right there. And, you know, I'm sure you have a blast with doing it too. So
absolutely.
You know.
I'm jealous of Justin's job. I don't know about you guys, but I want to go get Justin's job. How do I get to modify cars for fun? It's shocking.
You're not doing it here.
Well, Ted, another component that's really exciting, and Amanda, you know, I would be remiss without mentioning this additional aftermarket opportunity. I'm thinking back to my car selling days and the opportunities that I noticed from a lot of the marketing efforts and the pieces that dealerships really executed well on. It's not just these incredible custom built vehicles, which my husband totally has. It's also the vehicles and the accessories that families are looking for. I get phone calls all the time where people want to add a bike rack because now they have children and they want to take something on the road, or they need a tow hitch, or they're thinking about a luggage rack. They want to have different components for their dogs to be secure in the back of the vehicle. There's so many additional opportunities that people are constantly shopping for when it comes to accessorizing and enhancing their ownership experience with these aftermarket parts. But they come into so many different aspects of your life. And so having this available that really caters to a wide variety of people that are shopping. I mean, I've had moms that are looking for, seat separators so the animals don't come into the back seat, and people looking for, different types of seat protectants or aftermarket car seat covers. There's so many opportunities, Amanda, for this to continue to grow.
Yeah, I'm sitting here laughing, listening to Justin and Jim talking about modifying vehicles, because I bought a truck and I didn't own that truck 24 hours before I had spent probably $3,000 on rough country on accessories. Because nobody in the dealership said, hey, why don't you put this truck bed cover and these other accessories, why don't you put them on the truck now? And then you don't have to pay $3,000 right now. And so I think that it's a great opportunity, because you're going to have a lot of, if you look at the person who's buying the vehicle, did they come in with an incredibly muddy vehicle? Maybe they live in a place where they need some, all-terrain tires. Maybe they have small children and they need some of those accessories. For me, I'm a mom and I drive a truck. And so the thing I miss most is having a trunk. And so I went on the Rough Country website and I bought one of their truck bed trunks. We call it a bunk. I bought one of their truck bed trunks. So I have a place to put groceries and things in my truck bed so they're not in my back seat with my kids. And so there's a lot of really great opportunities, not just for performance modifications and great upgrades for vehicles, but at the point of sale, looking at the person that you're selling the vehicle to and saying, have you considered adding these accessories? And of course, that's dollars for the dealership.
Anthony, this is going to open up a lot of doors for dealers, having Revolution Parts now able to help them, because this is just growing and growing exponentially.
Well, it's nice because we're not just talking fixed operations. A lot of people, Revolution Parts is more parts related. This in theory could help the whole dealership, from sales out front, which both of these gentlemen are well aware of. Talk about your hours per stall. And I don't want to get into percentages, but we had a hefty percentage on labor and parts when we're building stuff. So, not that you can make your own prices, but sometimes the price is the price, It's installed, it's on the car, here it is, Maybe that's 30%, maybe that's 60%. We all know what matrix is, and you need to, and if you're putting a lift kit on a truck, you now have to sometimes adjust the toe, sometimes you have to do a new alignment. So, there's more hours per stall. Where's Tully at to talk about the hours,
He's all that's missing. Justin, also your finance background, that's actually genius, okay, to incorporate that, because you know how to, not only just put the vehicle together, but also put all the arrangements together so that people can, make this their vehicle.
Well, that's one thing that myself and the sales director put together when we were coming up with these menus, was integrating that, trying to roll in $20,000-$30,000 on like a Rocky Ridge or a Black Widow, where you a lot of them have a base unit that they just slap a bunch of accessories onto, and now getting all of that money bought by the bank is kind of difficult, right? So tailoring that mindset for F&I for these products and these menus to be F&I friendly, to get the majority of these packages bought by the bank and work in the guidelines of the line threes that you have and everything else like that on the finance end of it for the lenders. That was two things that I wanted to really integrate strong, so we're not presenting something to a client that maybe doesn't have all the out-of-pocket cash to pay for it, right? And they still want to incorporate it into their financing. So it's a win-win for both sides of it. And then on those avenues that we don't have the opportunity to get all of it there, we also have a third-party lender that will do some financing, based upon bank approval and credit and all that fun stuff too. But one thing that we also integrated into the sales department was a dedicated Bozard built sales advisor. So he's there to really touch every new car buyer and pre-owned buyer too, because we're not discriminating against anything, but primarily we're focusing on new units, to sit with everybody and allow every person that's purchasing a new vehicle to have an opportunity of making it their own. So it's just a great way to expand, and it's a great way to fully customize and utilize every end of it.
Justin, you said talk to every customer. You retail like close to 1,000, and some months over 1,000.
Between government fleet and just regular retail units, yeah.
Jim, I'm liking that. I think I'm taking notes on that one too.
Yeah, it's a great to have a dedicated person, and this applies to all. So the answer to the question that is never asked is always going to be no, right? Always, no matter what it applies to. So this is a perfect example that Justin's using, that they have a dedicated salesperson to at least start the conversation, whether it lasts 30 seconds or 30 minutes. That is determined on the customer's, kind of interest in what they have to say. Yes, I'd like to get bigger wheels, or I maybe want to color match my fender flares on my Bronco, that type of thing. And there's a lot of cool opportunities out there, but if you never ask and present it, the answer is always going to be no. So beware what you ask, because have the team in place, because you may get a lot of yeses. And this is a perfect example of what we do here up at All American in New Jersey, and then what Justin's doing it for Bozard Built and beyond. So keep going. It's a great market for those who are in it, those who understand it. And Revolution Parts obviously now is making it a lot easier for us to purchase these parts a lot more efficiently, which is really great.
Amanda, do you want to tell us about that? Because some of the innovations you've got now and being released for your dealers are pretty novel.
Yeah, so this new aftermarket, we're calling it the Aftermarket Performance Catalogs, because it really is performance parts for dealerships to sell to their customers. We're not trying to replace, your oil filters and your air filters. We're trying to replace shocks and suspension and turbochargers and exhaust. And we're trying to help you guys sell performance upgrades to your vehicles. But of course, with every performance catalog comes a whole lot of accessories. I said I spent $3,000 on rough country accessories when I bought my truck, and I've not regretted it a single day. My truck bed cover comes in handy. I live in the South, and we have had some terrible weather. I bought my truck in November, and I think we've had terrible weather every week since. So there's a lot of accessories on those catalogs as well. But when we brought these performance catalogs to dealerships, it was our goal to not only allow you to sell these parts nationwide, but sell them to your current customer, because your current customer is, they're already there. They already trust you. The local customer that maybe knows who you are, but's never been to you. They're probably already looking for those accessories, performance modifications, upgrades on their vehicles, because it's very, very common, especially with trucks and Jeeps and Broncos and Blazers, for people to upgrade their vehicles. And so we wanted to make it really easy for you to sell those parts to your existing customers and to the local customer. But the other thing that's really exciting, like Anthony said, is for the first time, we're taking Revolution Parts out of the parts department, and we're bringing it into F&I, and we're bringing it into sales, and we're bringing it into reconditioning, and we're bringing it to people like Justin, who are considering, how do I make more money on the front end and not necessarily have to wait until they come back? We're increasing absorption rate because we're making your customers come back to you, not just for basic service, but also for upgrades. And of course, as Tully always says, we're increasing the hours. And so I think this is a fantastic opportunity. We have almost 1 million SKUs. So that's almost 1 million different parts that we're offering to Revolution Parts dealers that they can add to their OEM store. So you continue to sell all of your OEM parts, and you can continue to sell nationwide. But now you can add almost 1 million SKUs to your store to sell to, local customers, current customers, and of course, nationwide.
And Amanda, if I'm a dealer, I don't have to have the inventory in stock. You help me with that as well.
Absolutely not. The biggest complaint that we hear, and Jim and Justin, y'all will probably shake your heads yes at this. The biggest complaint we hear is, I don't have the people to do this. Because every person in your dealership is probably already busy doing 3 or 4 different things. Right. And so when people say, I want to get into e-commerce, I want to try it, but I don't have the staff. The great thing about Aftermarket and about working with Revolution Parts is we allow you to be a drop shipper. Somebody comes to you, they place an order, you can either ship it directly to them, or you can ship it directly to your service drive and schedule that person to come in. It doesn't require any additional part staff. It doesn't require any additional work hours to sell that part. It's just the click of a button, and you get to collect your profits. And speaking of profits, probably the coolest thing, kind of burying the lead here, the coolest thing about this is most of the aftermarket performance catalogs that we're offering to our dealers, you're sourcing the parts at around 40% below MSRP. So when you're putting those parts on your vehicles, let's just say it's reconditioning in new vehicles, you're saving about 40% on every lift kit, every leveling kit, every exhaust, every turbocharger, every floor mat, you're saving about 40%. And then you're turning around and selling those to your customer at or above MSRP. And so you're not just selling the parts, but you're also sourcing the parts at a less expensive cost. So your profit margins are a lot higher. By comparison, OEM profit margins are usually around 15%. So 40 versus 15% is a pretty big difference.
Sarah, this is pretty powerful.
It is, Ted, and there's so many applications, as Amanda said. This is just an opportunity, again, to make this more efficient for your customer at the point of sale when they're purchasing a vehicle and considering all the different elements that they want to have to personalize their car or their truck. This is just really exciting, Ted, and a great panel today with all of our amazing experts.
I'm just thinking Anthony's already busy. He's going to get really busy with what's coming up now.
Who knows? But hey, we're in the market of selling convenience, and I think that's what this is really adding: convenience for the dealer, convenience for the customer. I mean, people are willing to pay a premium for convenience. So, I would pay more to have this Explorer with all the goodies on it. I like to call them Go Fast goodies. I'd rather pay more for everything on this thing than to just save whatever it would be for a base model. Why not stand out? I mean, my goal in life is to pull up to my kid's school and just outshine all the other dads. Why not do it with one of these Bozart cars?
My goal in life is for no person to ever leave a dealership with a truck again without somebody offering them a truck bed cover. Because I'm telling you, everybody leaves the dealership and the first thing they do is look at the price of truck bed covers and go, oh my goodness, I can't believe that they're $2,000. So my goal is for no person to leave a dealership without at least being offered one ever again.
Jim, they're singing your tune and Bozart's tune, Jim, on convenience.
Yes, there's no doubt. And, what Amanda was saying, we're going to offer 1 million additional SKUs and parts with basically, it's not going to cost us anything in additional headcount. I don't have to add staff. So it's not going to cost me more money to be able to offer and have access to close to 1 million SKUs. So that's right there is just music to my ears and every other dealer too. I'm going to do more and it's not going to cost me more. So let's go. This is a no-brainer. Let's go.
Amanda, how do we find out? Go ahead.
How great will it be, Jim, when you have to hire 3 new service techs to install all of those parts because you sold so many hours?
Yes. There you go. I love that. That's we wanted, and yes, we do pretty much almost every F-150 leaves here with a bed cover. So to answer your question there, we do a lot. F-150s are bed cover havens. They are absolute necessities up here in the Northeast, at least, and probably everywhere they should be.
They should be.
Yes.
Amanda, how do we find out more about the?
Yeah, you're going to visit revolutionparts.com. If you go to revolutionparts.com/aftermarket dealers, make sure you include that S on there, aftermarket dealers. You can find all the information about our new aftermarket offerings for dealers. The first 100 dealers that sign up between now and whenever we run out are going to receive their aftermarket catalogs at no cost for the first 6 months. So we're going to add on the aftermarket catalogs to your OEM e-commerce store, and you get to sell for 6 months. You can see the benefits. You can see how much profit your dealership is reaping before you ever pay a single cent. So instant ROI there on the aftermarket catalogs for the first 100 dealers, because we are so confident that dealers are going to love this offering and see huge returns on investment that we are willing to, put it out there for the first 100. So don't wait. revolutionparts.com/aftermarket dealers. I have a feeling we're going to be getting a call from Jim here pretty soon saying, sign me up and add my store on. So I think Jim might be one of the first.
Yeah, I think Anthony's right on that already because he was already here last week and the week before. So
yes.
I agree with you. Amanda, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm sure it's going to happen sooner than later for sure.
All right, Jim Sabino, Justin McElroy, thank you so much for your time today and being here representing All American and Bozart Built, the great brands, Anthony Blubello and Amanda Poe with Anthony from Revolution Parts. And Sarah, exciting times in our business.
It is, Ted. Parts continues to be the leading piece in fixed operations and exciting opportunities with Revolution Parts.
Everybody, thanks for your time today. Visit revolutionparts.com/aftermarket dealers.
Thank you.
Create the ultimate lane experience with the Affinitive Service Suite. And set your dealership apart with integrated solutions powered by data. Make your service bay more profitable with Affinitive Book. Offer scheduling anytime online in 3 minutes or less. Display vehicle service history, maintenance reminders, and dynamic offers through a unique customer portal search. Affinitive Book can help you see a 97% average service capacity utilization. Plus, enjoy flexible management options and increase shop throughput by defining service intervals. Enjoy mobile and desktop write-up with Affinitive Smart Lane. Welcome customers in the lane and provide seamless sign-and-go experiences. Perform quick vehicle walkarounds and capture potential repair opportunities via annotated photos and videos. Review factory maintenance plans and previously declined repairs to recommend services and obtain instant approval. Streamline processes with adaptive workflow technology that enables you to roll appointments into ROs. Increase efficiency and customer transparency with Affinitive MPI. Complete more MPIs and drive service recommendations with preset templates and custom workflows. Capture every repair. Send RO updates via the MPI app, SMS, and email. Plus, monitor statuses and filter by workflow events from the MPI ledger. Put visuals behind your service recommendations with Affinitive Tech Video. Explain inspections with up to 7 minutes of HD recording. Ensure clear audio by eliminating background noise. Or disable feature to capture specific vehicle noises. Attach to a customer's account with instant playback. Expedite approvals and increase CSI by sending the video to a customer's email. Expedite approvals and increase CSI by sending the video to a customer's email or phone via Affinitive messaging. The Affinitive Service Suite is designed for dealers centered on customers. Affinitive, elevating the dealership experience.
Recon doesn't slow down because teams aren't working hard. It slows down when execution breaks between steps. Repair 360 connects the entire reconditioning process into one workflow, from appraisal and inspection to vendors, approvals, and billing. See where vehicles stall, act on delays, track total recon spend per vehicle in real time. Built-in messaging keeps every conversation, photo, and decision tied directly to the repair order. And with direct dealer track integration, repair orders sync automatically, from vehicle receipt to completed write back. Fewer stalled vehicles, predictable timelines, protected gross. Repair 360, the execution system behind Recon.
The championship continues. Welcome back to the final day of Fixed Ops Week with the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Learn how Evenflow intelligently schedules appointments to maximize technician production. Please welcome Dave Anderson.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have Evenflow with us and a special guest. And Ted, we're going to be unpacking a little bit more about strategies and challenges that service scheduling may have for our dealers.
You know, it's a really exciting topic, and we've got the man front and center. Dave Anderson from Evenflow is with us. Dave, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
You are really challenging the status quo with the way our industry has long thought about scheduling service and service appointments. So, congratulations on that. You're getting a lot of attention. And you know, we met a few months back with Sarah at Las Vegas at the NADA in person, and we've got a couple questions today. And if you don't mind, you know, for our audience, we want to learn more about what Evenflow does.
Sure.
Well, Dave, to kick things off, service scheduling has been a hot topic because dealerships are looking to maximize the number of vehicles that are coming into their shop. But what are you seeing that is the biggest challenge today with service scheduling?
I would say the single biggest issue in the industry right now is the standard practice of what I call counting cars or scheduling by like appointment slot. So it's like I'll take 4 at 7 a.m., another 4 at 7:15, another 4 at 7:30. So that practice of just scheduling of counting cars, that's the single biggest challenge in the industry right now.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's long been the practice, Dave. And tell us, in your estimation, why is this practice so common?
From my conversations with other service managers and fixed ops leaders, I see typically like two issues that kind of come up of why this is the common practice. First is there's a mindset of we should be scheduling with the front of the house in mind, right? Like if I have a certain number of advisors, I can only check in so many cars at a time, and so I want to make sure my schedule is aligned with how the advisors can take in the work. Then the other practice, and then the challenge actually with that though is there's a mismatch between what the advisor capacity is and the technician capacities of how they're doing the work, right? And then the second case is where technicians, service managers are really trying to think about the technician capacity, but they don't have the right tools to schedule, so they rely on the law of averages. So they might say, I got 100 hours, of production capacity. Each, repair order is 2 hours. I can take 50 cars. And then they're just kind of treating a day as a day and base it on the law of averages. And then they break it up by, counting cars of those 50 cars across the day there.
Well, and Dave, this is, as you mentioned, this has been a pain point in a lot of different dealerships. And, all these different dealerships have so many different sizes for their service lanes and their shops. So what are some of the operational issues, specifically with scheduling by counting cars?
Yeah, so let me just walk you through a couple of examples and maybe a big picture before I get into the details. I would say you get two challenges. One is bottlenecks, where you have too much work coming in, and the second is where you have spoiled tech hours, where you don't have enough work for the technicians there. And hopefully I can illustrate this through some simple examples. So what you see on the screen here is just hypothetically, let's just say it's an express service shop that's got 4 advisors and 12 technicians. And you're going to schedule by, counting cars of what's in the front of the house. So you say, okay, I have 4 advisors. I'll take 4 appointments every 15 minutes and I'll, be able to appropriately check it in. Now, one of the challenges is if you got the staffing all starting at the same time at 7 a.m., well, in a perfect dispatch world, right, maybe the first 4 technicians get a job right away and then 8 are waiting, right? Then at 7:15, you get another 4 checked in and dispatched. And so now you got 8 technicians with a job and 4 are waiting. And it's not until like 7:30 that you actually, get enough jobs in there to be able to dispatch out to all the technicians on the staff. So the advisors are happy. It's flowing in the way they can do it, manage 1 car every 15 minutes. But the implication in even the simple example, and we see commonly, is you've got 5 to 6% of your production capacity wasted before your day even really begins, just because you've got the mismatch of the advisor schedule or capacity with the technician capacity.
So we're starting off on the wrong foot, you're saying?
Yeah. You're just, it's kind of like you're taking a test and you're going to say, I'm going to give up 5 points on the test. I'll start with the best I can do is a 95, right? Like you're just giving away points for free,
Good analogy.
Analogy. And then, if, even in this example, if you were to carry it through, right? Like eventually there's an equilibrium here where like you're checking in 4 every 15 minutes and it's working with sort of the technicians to be able to turn them. But fundamentally this is like has to be a perfect system in this simple example, right? Like if there's walk-ins, all of a sudden this all gets out of whack. Right now you've got 2 other jobs in here. If there was 2 walk-ins that were unaccounted, and then you've got either basically jobs waiting that are queuing up, or you're also assuming that you can get all the jobs in this express turned in 45 minutes. And that's basically, handcuffing both the technicians and advisors to doing upsell, right? Doing the proper inspections and talking to the customers about recommended and needed services for the safety of their vehicle or the lifetime operation of the vehicle. So you're really constraining by time how much the technicians and advisors can actually do. They have to turn them every 45 minutes. And if you do upsell, let's just say you upsell a brake fluid service or alignment, right? Like all of a sudden you've got a bottleneck. Now, the advisor and the technician did everything that they should. It's a right, service for the customer. You're recommending what they need for their vehicle. From the dealership, you're doing the right steps to be, pulling through these upsell services. Operationally, you just caused a problem. You get a bottleneck there. So all of this is like, you have to have like almost a perfect system, even in this example, to be able to pull it through. And then if it can show you the next example here, this is just even if the staffing is a little bit different. So let's just say you got 4 advisors and 10 technicians for on staff, right? You still have the same problem of like, okay, 4 starting in the morning, you can dispatch 4 out right away, and then 6 are waiting now. But then what'll happen is that because you keep checking in 4 at every 15 minutes, you get jobs queuing up with the technicians because you've only got 10. And so every 45 minutes, you're going to get 2 jobs queued up. So you're going to just create this backlog. This is only at 8:15, at 9:15, you're at 6 jobs backlog. And that's assuming there's 0 walk-ins, right? And then you could get even more. And that's assuming you're not even doing any upsells. Again, that's counter to what's best interest for the customer and also for the dealership. So this thing can definitely get off the rails fast, in this scenario as well. So it's just really the challenge of like looking at it from the advisor capacity and the pure mismatch of what the technician capacity is and how you can operationally pull all that work through.
There's a mismatch there, and you're pointing it out exactly how it happens. That's real world stuff. And Sarah, you and I know there's going to be walk-ins. There's going to be things that take longer. Someone needs a ride back to work. There's all kinds of issues there.
Yeah, and then then the second root cause, and I get this all the time of like, I know what my shop can do. Like, I just got a simple example here. This is a Toyota dealership, and I specifically chose them because I think Toyota, Honda's, they're more, common set of work, across engines and, model years. And so, and it's not at the same variability as, say, like a CDJR store, right? So even in this example, if you said simplistically 155 hours of daily production capacity of the technicians, and they're averaging 1.55 hours per RO, well, that would say, well, you need 100 appointments or 100 cars. But if you look at the graph there's a huge amount of variability, on the hours per RO that can come in. This is just for a 30-day period of a Toyota dealership. And all this could mean is like, on one day, 10 extra diags that you weren't expecting on average, right? Or 10 other like hybrid cable, recall work, or 10 less, right? You got 10, 10 less jobs, and they're just more basic oil change, rotate, or simple fluid service. So that's where you get these same like peaks and valleys of huge variability. And so, yeah, every good service manager I've talked to, they've got it dialed in. They know it's 1.55 hours per RO. It's just that that's the average. On any given day, there could be huge swings there. And if you just on the next slide, just to show you some of the consequences, this is just like the shop loaded versus the capacity. And so what you'd want to be is exactly at, say, 0%, right? Like it's perfectly dialed in. And it almost looks like an EKG, reading of the heart, which is probably what the service managers have.
That's probably how it.
Yeah, like of the day-to-day stress. So the stress of like, on the day where it's like 20-25%, what that means is like you've loaded 20% more work than the shop can handle. So they're just probably running around. How do we just get through the end of the day, right? And then you've got days that are 20% less. And so then it's the equal heart attack problem of like, where we have no work, right? And then the technicians are stopping by your office saying, "Hey, boss, you got any jobs for me? Or do you want to cut me loose?" But it's just that gets into this spoiled tech hours there. So this day-to-day variability is really the one of the key challenges of even the law, where the law of averages breaks down time and time again.
You're so right. Very clear here. Yes.
And then this is something that whenever I show data like this to a service manager, they are always intuitively they buy into it, but they've just never seen it before. And so it's really the consequence of a bottleneck. And this is what happens that we see time and time again is that in order to manage customer experience, and they're worried about the bottlenecks, the service departments are trying to move cars through, and they're trying to move more cars through in the same amount of time, right? Because they've got a backlog. And the only way you can physically do that is to do less work, right? If I'm going to, instead of taking my time with 5 ROs, I'm going to try to get like 8 ROs in the same amount of time down. I have to spend less time. And so we see this quantitatively all the time in the data. This is a Honda dealership where it's loaded well, they're averaging 1.9 hours per RO. When they get overloaded, it's 1.7. And you can see the dollar per RO impact. And so you just start multiplying this out. There's, say, if you have 100 ROs, a day, that's like 20 labor hours a day where you're losing in the bottleneck, right? And just add that up over time, and there's huge amount of inefficiencies with this, of overloading the shop of too much work at any given time.
So, Dave, you're showing us the consequences to the dealership in terms of lost service gross and capturing a smaller percentage of service potential.
Yeah. And when we zoom out and look at the dealerships we work with, we usually see that maybe they're capturing like 70% of their service revenue potential in aggregate. And it's going to be both of these factors. There's either technicians on the clock where that they're not, at spoiled time where they're not, being able to flag any hours, or there's these bottlenecks, right? And so then they're just, instead of flagging 1.9 hours per RO, they're only getting 1.7. If they could just move that and pace it out throughout the day, where they can just like fully service each vehicle with the proper attention, right? Like then they can capture that 30% revenue gap there.
This is such exciting information, Dave. And, for our audience, I know this is a very hot topic in the industry as dealers look for an alternative to the traditional method of counting cars. For our audience that wants to find out more and see how your strategies would work and your technology would work for their individual service departments and stores, what's the best first step for them to reach out to you?
So always just the contact information of the email or my phone number, or if website, contact us form. But I think my email and phone number is scrolling through, so always just reach out to me directly on all of that.
And Dave, you're working with dealerships now. You're integrated with a lot of the tools they have now. You're in a very exciting space. So you're making great strides in the industry. Like you said earlier, it's done it one way for a long time, but it's obvious that we're going to keep repeating the same behavior and getting the same results if we continue. So
yeah, and I think for me, what's important is that it's not that like we're hard coded of like we have our own approach that's like another sort of box like counting cars, and the service manager has to stick within this. I think what the aim is we're really trying to be flexible, on how each service manager would want to load the shop. And what I think there's a few elements that are really key with this is like we want to schedule off of what I call true demand. So it's not only what is put in the appointment, but then what do we predict on top of that? And the example I always give is like, I have 100,000 miles on my Honda Odyssey and I schedule an oil change or an A1 service. I'm going to end up with more work on my repair order. So we better account for that, right? And then we also need to adjust that based on technician efficiency and how the teams might be able to either beat the clock or be slower than the clock, depending on the labor hours. And then always loaded against like the technician capacity of when they clock in and clock out during the day and across the week. Now, we have the flexibility to layer in other constraints like advisors' ability to check in cars at the front of the house, because it's a very real concern of like, if I have 4 advisors, I don't want 18 cars showing up at 7 a.m. and like now you've got another backlog showing up outside the drive, right? So we can factor that in. We can factor in things like transportation or recalls or parts constraints, and then walk-ins as well. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is extract that algorithm from the service manager, and then figure out how to like bring it to life, for them. And that's and it's not coming in hard coded of like, hey, this is our way, we know better. It's really like, we want to learn from them. Tell us how you want to do it, and then we will configure it in a way that can adjust and account for these issues of spoiled tech time and bottlenecks.
And Dave, you're already up and running. You're in dealerships today,
Yeah.
and you're already integrated with a lot of the technology that the dealerships have. If you don't mind, just take a minute and tell us about that, because I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, so people often ask like, how are we integrated? Like generally, we're syncing up like near real time with the DMS, a back and forth with pushing and pulling information, and that's kind of how we're fully integrated. But we have integrations with service lanes tools. We're integrating with the AI scheduling agents out there. So other different tech stacks, like we have the ability to integrate, and I'm always open to integrate with anyone who wants to is open to integrating with us. I think an open environment is the best thing for the dealerships or common customers for this. And, as you said, we are up and running, and what we're have been able to do is many case studies of closing that gap of that 30% revenue, decrease. So we've shown 20-30% revenue increases. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to get a better flow of work through the shop that like avoids, spoil time, but also give the team, the ability to fully service all the vehicles from it.
Exciting stuff, Sarah.
Very exciting. And Dave Anderson, it's always a pleasure to have you here at the Roundtable and sharing these best practices with our dealers.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
For more information, everybody, you can visit Dave on the web, evenflow.ai. You see his email scrolling bottom of the screen there, Dave A at evenflow.ai. And I see looks like a cell phone there, David. I think I've called you on that number. I think that's your number.
For sure.
Well, everybody, any questions you may have, Dave Anderson is available to speak, and it's exciting because our industry is catching on to what he's doing. And Dave, I can't wait to come back and hear more in the next couple of months about the great strides that you're making with our dealers and fixed ops. And congratulations to you, and exciting times ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So I can't wait to come back. Thanks again.
All right. Dave Anderson, everybody, from Evenflow AI, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have David Anderson of Evenflow AI and the one and only Tully Williams, Ted.
What a segment this is going to be. Maybe the best part of the show. Dave Anderson from Evenflow AI, welcome. And Tully Williams, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Well, thank you. Hey. Thanks for the invite. Yeah, appreciate it.
Dave, great to meet you in person.
Yeah.
Your new platform, Evenflow, is about to reshape our industry. And Sarah and I have some questions for you.
Absolutely.
And I know Tully is excited to learn more as well. And Tully, maybe you might have a question or two.
Absolutely, I'm ready, but let's hear about what's going on, and we're going to quiz the hell out of them.
All right, so David, you've proven successful in many other verticals, okay? Not just automotive. Tell us a little bit about the intelligent scheduling method and how you're about to apply it and how you're applying it now to dealership service departments.
Okay, yeah, sure. So, well, first of all, the other industry experiences, I've done golf courses, hotels, doctor's offices, surgery centers. Also, I didn't tell you this the other time, but cancer drug production. So it has many different applications, and I'm trying to take those insights and marry it with automotive retail here with Evenflow AI.
I think the part that probably intrigued me the most, you worked for a major airline carrier, okay? And help them, because I know the airlines are really good at filling those seats. I don't see too many empty seats on flights anymore. And you helped help them with their process there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, all it's about is capacity optimization. And, that's fundamental for the dealership's fixed operation. It's right. How many hours can the technician, flag, and make sure that it's as efficient as possible?
Can you believe that he's saying that out loud like that? That is just incredible. A lot of times we don't look at appointments as hours. And it's great that you figured out a way to help us fill our shop up, because back in the day, it's like, okay, I'll take 20 appointments, and that 20 appointments normally will sometimes fill a shop up.
Yeah.
And I love that you were saying that, hey, it might be 4 ROs or it might be 30 ROs to fill up the shop at the capacity that we have. Exactly. And I think that is something that we've never seen yet come out in the fix off. So it's really exciting that you're helping us load our capacity, because in fixed ops, what do we sell? We sell hours. Yeah, we sell the capacity of our technicians. So this is super exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to take is one of the biggest challenges you have is what appointment is doesn't equal the repair order. So if you traditionally try to count cars and the law of averages, like you say, like I'll take 60, maybe on a 3-month period, you got it dialed in, but there's so much variability day to day that like you're going to be off.
But what happens is the techs go home at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the techs are working late because we have to get something out and they get in trouble at home, right? Yeah. So the thing about you predicting that, because now we're not going by, 60 ROs a day. I'd rather go by, are we selling our capacity of, let's say it's 500 hours a day.
Exactly.
And then we fill that up there, right? And that helps our BDC make sure that we have capacity today where, if you're doing it that way, we might have 20 oil changes to pay a half an hour.
Yeah.
And they're all under 10,000 miles. There's nothing to upsell on that car. So now everybody at 12 o'clock, where's everybody? Well, we did all the jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that you're going to come out with that prediction based off of mileage bands is really going to be a way that we can load the shop up and then ultimately help us create better repeat and referral business, is what it's all about.
Yeah. If you hit upon it, I think the byproduct is just also a better customer experience. So when you give a promise time of like an hour or 2 hours, the shop is much better positioned to actually deliver upon that.
100%. I think that when you look at, especially on the quick lane, I think is where this will benefit the most, is that, that is where we really need to have same day appointments or next day appointments. And I think that with that model, we can really get a lot more cars in and of course make our technicians rich and happy every day.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
David, walk us through, you touched on the CSI component, but walk us through a little bit more on the technology side. So with this intelligent scheduling, how has this radically improved the experience for customers in dealerships?
So from some of the logic there, like what I would say, the building blocks of it, first of all, like as I was telling Tully, like we're not counting cars, we're looking at each appointment, and then we have the prediction to say, what do we think the RO will be? But the other component of it is we can translate that back into clock time based on the technician's proficiency or efficiency. So just because we think it's going to flag 3 hours, maybe it's only 2.5 hours on the clock, but that's really what you got to make sure that you're loading in shop against. And then it's pegged against the technician schedule. So how they roll on or off the clock through the week and through the day. But what's most important about, and this is what I learned along the way, being an outsider in, is like, I think of it as almost an analogy of a conveyor belt of the work coming in at the perfect pace. But the big secret sauce of it is like, how many conveyor belts do you have? you might only have 2 technicians who can do EV work. You might have only 1 who's certified for this hybrid recall work. You have 1 diesel tech, or you got express main. So customizing it to sort of how the service manager wants to load the shop or operationalize it, that's like the key part.
You know, what's interesting you say that is that when the worst thing you can ever have is you have 40 appointments and there are 2/10 recall.
Yeah.
You're right, and then you need like 1,000 appointments that day, right? So that will be really exciting to see how that works, especially with some of these recalls that people are just going to come in for the recall.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to help us a lot.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things that I always call about the recalls, it's like business optimization. So where do you want that recall? So, and at some OEMs, they have recalls that pay poorly. So they're like one-line RO nuisances, right? They show up in prime CP, time periods. Well, maybe you push them to off-peak periods. And then that one-line RO turns into $100 a CP.
Yeah. I like that you predict that piece, because our goal is to have that inspection.
Yeah.
Right. And then I also think if you look at, is that customer a repeat and referral customer, or is that customer a one-time, the first time in, because those will be a bigger RO or maybe a more challenged RO versus a normal customer with a restricted maintenance like that. It's great that you're going to that depth, because that's what it really needs. Because if you didn't do that depth, then people are not going to believe it, are they?
No, I actually wouldn't solve the problem, unfortunately. I wish the problem was easier, but it's not. Unfortunately not.
That's right.
And Dave, finally, if I can, to bring it home, I know you're working with a lot of retailers today. What kind of revenue increases are they seeing working with your platform so far, Evenflow?
Yeah, so we got a lot of case studies of 20% improvement, 30%, even 40% improvement. We've got dealers who've first month in, they set their all-time high service growth record, and then we just keep going from there. So, all right, yeah.
It's going to be an exciting year for Evenflow and for automotive dealerships.
I hope so. I really hope so. Yeah.
Tully, exciting stuff.
It's really incredible that we haven't thought about this earlier, right? And I love the analogy of airplane seats, because I feel like the shop is the same way. Yeah. You can't sell yesterday's hours, and you can't sell yesterday's airplane seats. Yeah. So it's great that you have that experience and you're bringing that to the automotive space for us.
Yeah.
Super exciting. Super exciting.
Very cool. Very cool.
Sarah, as Tully says, it's all
about the hours.
All right. Driving that repeat and referral business. Dave Anderson, congratulations. And I know we're going to hear a lot more about you and Evenflow as we go through the year. So
I hope
great stuff to get started.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tully, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Super exciting.
All right. Dave Anderson from Evenflow with Tully Williams from the Niello Company with Sarah Vantine. We're here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
It's kind of a mix between a sense of pride and solving a problem.
When you are taking on a multi-million-dollar investment, you have one opportunity to do this right.
When the Jim Ellis team came to us, and when really any of our clients come to us, they say, hey, here's this box that this brilliant architect put together, and we need you to help us come up with the best flow put, the best throughput, and really the best design to help us maximize our efficiency in our service department. So when you walk into a finished project like this and you see your design and your layout, the equipment that the team put in, it's a really cool feeling.
Pride. It's just incredible that our small little company can accomplish something this grand, and we do it day in and day out.
MyKarma's Tech Video Grader is a major enhancement to Service Cart Video MPI. It looks at every tech video, helping management and techs improve video inspections with objective feedback. Each video is reviewed by our AI engine, evaluating audio and visual cues that measure its content against the customized inspection checklist each technician is required to follow. Detailed reporting offers deep insights on video inspections, including month-to-month quality trends about the dealership or dealer group, easy identification of high-performing techs, and the ability to take a deep dive into their overall performance. Tech Video Grader makes sure that what's sent to the customer has maximum impact, leading to more recommendations, improved CSI, and the highest brand standards. MyKarma's Tech Video Grader, another innovation built on collaborative workflow AI.
Please welcome Don Andres and the Retail Service Panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Don Andres has been a big part of our events for the last several years. He's in Ohio. He has a company called Auto SCT Consulting and Training. Don is with us today with a team of very seasoned retail leaders in fixed operations. Don, I'm going to let you do the introductions. Welcome, and welcome everybody to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Well, Ted, thanks so much for inviting us to come and share some really good positive techniques. So yes, we are blessed with some veteran talent here in the room today. So let me begin with Ryan Bronk. Ryan is a fixed operations director for a collection of stores here in Mid-Ohio. And we have spent a lot of time together, and it's just a pleasure to have you on the call today. And along with Ryan is Chris Penrod. Chris Penrod, managing a number of manufacturers in a auto mall here in Central Ohio as well. And then we have Ted Ambrose, who is drive managing and also writing in a large volume Chevy store here in Columbus, Ohio, with a part of a large auto group, the Mark Wahlberg organization. So we're really blessed to have some great talent today on the show. And I think what we're going to do is maybe go around real quick and they can introduce themselves briefly and just talk a little bit about their background in the industry. And then we're going to jump into some really fun questions that I think will really be informative. And Ryan, let's start with you as well in your position.
Ryan Brunk, SVG Motors Auto Group. I've been in the automotive industry for 28 years, fairly new to a dealership setting. I've been a fixed ops director for the group for about 14 months, been with the group going on 2 years.
Awesome. Chris, how about you?
I've got about 20 years in the automotive industry. 10 of those years have been in the dealership setting. Prior to that, I was running individual franchise stores with Midas for about 5 to 6 years, and other franchises. But I've been with Norse for going on 8 years. So
awesome. That's great. And that independent background really has been a positive part of your growth in the management world, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah. And Ted, you're no rookie either.
No. Got Ted Ambrose, 30 years in the auto industry, 18 of them in the dealership setting, the remainder of that in retail with multiple companies, Firestone, Midas, Monroe. I've been doing it forever.
Yeah. And again, that independent background really helps when you enter into the dealership world. It's a different world, but at the same time, I think those are great tools that you learn in that industry. Well, listen, I think the biggest thing that maybe has changed as we've moved from 25 now into 26. I mean, we're into 26 now, aren't we? And so in that respect, I think maybe something that we all observed last year and is probably going to be a reality this year is the age of cars coming into your service drive. We've had sometimes a mix of 50-50 between warranty and retail customers, but now suddenly, from certainly my experience getting around the country and getting involved with analysis with dealerships, this higher age and mileage vehicle coming into the drive. Well, what's interesting about that, I think we can all agree, these cars need more things. They need more work done to them now that these customers are hanging on to them longer. I'm guessing you're seeing the same thing at your stores?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Ryan, let me come to you first, if you don't mind. You have a unique perspective in the sense that you get to all these different stores. And so you're dealing with not only the leadership in each store, the managers, the parts managers, but also the writers. You get right in there and you're involved with the writers as well, too. What are some of those challenges that maybe have changed in the last year and now as you enter 26 that you're focusing even more on when it comes to engaging these customers?
Well, one of the biggest things that we learned last year is digging in. with these higher mileage vehicles, we have to make sure our staff is up to speed on what they need to do as far as what the inspections look like between vehicles with 15,000 miles or vehicles with 115,000 miles. That was a big challenge that we had to overcome. Our lube techs, they just weren't doing the inspections that needed to be done to identify some of the issues that are going to arise on some of these higher mileage vehicles. So it was pretty eye-opening to see the amount of work that we were missing due to the lack of a quality MPI.
Yeah, that quality MPI turns out to be a big part of the equation, doesn't it? I love that because we ask these entry-level employees now sometimes to be good at a multi-point inspection. And so the fact from a leadership side, you're recognizing that and now making those kind of real adjustments and maybe evaluating the repair orders that much better. Great job. That's awesome.
Yes. The amount of recommendations and the amount of my mind went blank.
just the amount of recommendations that
and service requests, I would imagine too.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No, great observation. So Ted, are you seeing that you have a fairly large Chevy store, and it's very diverse. You have economically challenged people coming into your area. You also have big fleet business coming in. So you get the full gamut at your store. But was this also something that you were recognizing in 25?
Yeah, we did. And so with bringing on new lube technicians, we pair them with veteran technicians, and they help them grow in that aspect of inspecting what to look for based on time and mileage. And it's been a gateway to getting better growth from the MPI, and it's also allowing us to do a better service for our customer.
Right, you got more to discuss now, don't you? So we're going to talk about that in just a minute as well, too. I think that's incredibly important that your advisor staff transitions from just being that order taker to now, in fact, starting to have real engagement. So we'll talk about that. Chris, you are managing a couple of franchises at the same time. And again, different challenges because manufacturers have different requirements for maintenance as well. But the same thing, you're seeing the higher mileage vehicles now starting to come in and challenging your staff.
Yeah, I mean, I've been blessed. This last year, we've had the same team for the last 3 years. Oil changers, and haven't had any turnover. But yeah, I mean, it's about the pre-write, making the recommendations when they come in, and then the technician following through with that on the inspection side. I mean,
Well, I think that's a great point. Not only is volume increasing here in fixed operations with vehicles being kept longer, but now we probably need to prepare more, don't we?
Right.
I'm guessing that's one of the mantras, Ryan, that is constantly top of mind is, are we letting the day come to us, or are we in fact preparing for these customer arrivals?
No, you have to be prepared. I mean, if you want to be successful, the prior day pre-writes are a must. Spending time going through service history, looking at previous inspections, cautions, seeing what work was completed in between services. You definitely have to be prepared for the customer coming in, prior to their arrival.
That's such a big point. You're exactly right. And we see the results from a service advisor that's just scrambling around, losing his mind, and then one that probably is calm and much more prepared. Ted, you see that in your fairly large service drive. You probably get the whole gamut of service advisors who prepare, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell a difference between someone who prepares and doesn't prepare. I'm one of those that prepare. I mean, I've worked with you in the past, so I follow that mantra of being prepared always, expecting the day, and being ready for it, versus I have other people that just fly by the seat of their pants and just lack of organization and ill preparedness. And
Ted, can I ask a
a
quick follow-up of you about approximately how many service advisors do you have there?
In my facility, we have 4.
You have 4. And Ryan, over in your location, Ryan?
We have the total of 15.
15. And Chris, I know you oversee several locations. What does that number look like there?
It's me and new assistant.
Okay.
Just started about a month ago.
Okay. Right.
So you get your hands full, Chris. So probably more than anything else, coming to the idea of you individually and training this new advisor as well too. How important is that preparation for you?
Oh, it has to be. I mean, I've been preaching every day, about the pre-write and making sure that you're set for the day. And if you don't, I mean, the whirlwind of the day will take over. And he's getting it. He understands it. He sees it. So we're just going to continue to fight that battle.
So let me stay with you, Chris, for just a moment. We've got 2 things that we typically are going to do as far as making recommendations for customers. We've got mileage-based services, things that the manufacturer has recommended that come due at certain mileage intervals. And then we've got the multi-point inspection.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it for you individually, and how do you train this idea of approaching the mileage-based and then the found work on an MPI? Are those 2 different conversations?
They are. When the customer comes in for their set appointment, everything's already laid out, and what I recommended from either time before, new customer, 30, 60, 90, 120 intervals. We check the tires in the drive. We check the battery as well. And we're making those recommendations in the service drive. Along with, we have a quick check alignment machine through Hunter that was installed about 8 months ago, which has been a game changer. And then when we go back to the multi-point inspection with the technicians, they're making those recommendations that I had already recommended on the decline line if they decline. And then they're also putting together a list of things that they find. We just now rolled out, starting 2026, the video multi-point.
Nice.
Prior to that, we were doing multi-points on every car that came through. So yeah, it's been a game changer. I mean, we use a system called X-Time, which I know most dealerships use.
Super popular. Yeah,
it's been a game changer. It really has. So.
Yeah, boy, this is what I'm hearing. It doesn't necessarily take away from the engagement that you have with the client, but now you're looking at it together, looking at their car together. It's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ted, let me talk about that. Has video MPIs been introduced at the Wahlberg organization, and is that something that you're pretty consistent with as well?
We do. We use a UVI machine, so it's a 360-degree image of the vehicle, under, above, around. You get the opportunity to see those leaks before the technician does, show them to the customer before they even have a chance to go in the shop. And then you pair that with the video MPI, it completes the package. It gives the customer the opportunity to get a real good view of what the vehicle looks like.
Good point.
So let me stay with you for just a moment, Ted. Again, those mileage-based services, are you prepared enough that you can slow that process down enough that you are having real conversations with them during the write-up process to talk about those types of things, as opposed to just waiting for the tech to recommend?
Every car, every time, that mileage-based service from General Motors is talked about. I mean, we go through it with them, explain it in detail to them, why it's important, the benefits to it, and then we get it into the shop, and then the technician reinforces that benefit by explaining to them, hey, by doing your preventative maintenance, hey, we prevented this from occurring. So they get a really good view and experience from what we're doing in our culture.
That's awesome. And Ryan, I think you've and your company's definitely invested into UVI. I know you have them in a handful of stores. That also has been a game changer. So these third-party products really do allow a writer to be in a position to be successful. Would that be a good way to say it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have UVI as well, Ted. And It integrates well with Tekion or DMS. So, it pulls that inspection directly into the repair order. It allows us to send links to the customers if they're not a waiter, they were a drop off, so they can view the pictures and footage from their phone. So, especially if we have to disclose any type of repair work or leaks or uneven tire wear, whatever the case may be, that they can just pull it up and see it right from their phone. But I think Ted hit the nail on the head. As far as mileage-based services, the customers, you want to be able to tell the story why those services are needed. Just telling them it's due is not gonna sell the work.
And it's so powerful that you're creating yourself as an advisor, as more of an educator than selling, right? I know, Chris, you've had a lot of success over the years with selling mileage-based services. And Ted, I think you might be leading the Wahlberg organization in selling mileage-based services. Is those both of you guys have had that kind of confidence when you're speaking to the customer, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so important to show them and explain to them why that mileage base is important. With today's vehicles, I mean, with higher tolerance engines, you get failures more frequently, and it helps stave it off. I mean, the customer really needs to see those things and why they're spending that money for that stuff. And so, multiple times, I mean, customers have been aware, hey, I didn't really want to spend this today, but the way you've explained it, it's the ideal situation for me. So,
isn't that
it
funny?
works well.
That's so powerful that you'd say it that way. And Chris, I think the same with you. Just simply saying it's due or do you want it is probably not going to give you the results. It is in fact that storytelling that really starts to build that relationship as a true advisor. Would that be a pretty accurate way to say that?
Yeah, I mean, it's about explaining the features and benefits of why we're doing, said brake fluid, throttle body service, and that's that sort of thing. And the beautiful part is once you do that, once you get the first go around, it's an easier sale the next time that they come in. I mean, it's literally you're just building your bench for future repairs. That's all it is.
Boy, that's a great way to say it, isn't it? Because once educated, you're not having to go back through and continue to tell stories. They're coming in sometimes saying, hey, I think I want that fuel service again. Car's starting to run a little sluggish. And so that certainly makes for a much easier situation, doesn't it? Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's talk about how are you guys handling declines? Declines. They naturally happen in our industry. We surprise customers with needed services on the MPI as well as mileage-based, but we caught them at a time they didn't have the money. Let's go around, and I can start with you, Ryan, again, if you don't mind. Is there some strategies that you're talking to your staff about at the different stores about how to truly follow up with some of these declines?
Yeah, the first step in that is, when you're telling the story to the customer, making sure that they're okay with you reaching back out to follow up. It's put together a game plan to get them looped back in to get that work completed. So at the moment, we're taking decline services, putting them on a Google Calendar 30 days out. Just putting an RO number so they can the advisors already know what was discussed. They're familiar with the customer. So they're just tracking that 30 days out and making those follow-up calls.
So the writer themselves is calling the customer and seeing if they want to get started on some of that work.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have a 15-person BDC, but we leave all the decline follow-up to the advisors themselves.
And you're seeing some success.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. We've seen some major success in a few of our stores. The stores that are embracing it, we are seeing results.
So that's interesting. And Chris, maybe you can allude to this as well, too. It is such a relationship-based business, isn't it? And though sending out a declined email is fine, but we also know they don't always open up those emails. So is there some strategies you're doing as well on the follow-up of some of these declines?
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of the same rule of thumb that you actually taught me back when you and I worked together. I mean, you got to call customers, 30 days after the appointment on those declined services. And I have a list on an Excel sheet that I track that I've been making phone calls to get customers back in the door. Either offer them, hey, you come in today, we'll do this service this time, and then maybe the next time we'll hit that other one up that we need to be done.
I love that. So something I have always said over the years, you just kind of chip away at that list, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask a little bit of different question for you, Ted. Obviously, yes, we have to follow up with these declines. But one of the biggest things that challenges a lot of writers I see as I travel the country is sometimes they look at these large MPIs with a number of things listed on them, and they get intimidated by the amount that is on the MPI. And they find themselves not mentioning the tires because that was another $1,500. And they're not mentioning some of these things because they just aren't that important. As a rule of thumb, I don't think that's an approach that you've taken over the years.
No.
You tell the customer everything, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. I mean, I don't make their buying decision. I let them make their buying decision. It's important for them they know their budget, and I don't. So with that being said, hey, if it needs tires, it needs tires. I mean, we make these recommendations, and if they decline it, we reach back out too. I mean, we market through couponing and say, hey, here's an opportunity to get you back in here for what you missed. We also make those phone calls and follow up. But again, in our industry, there's a lot of people who are afraid to ask. I find that to be the biggest key factor.
Mm-hmm.
And that failure to inform is lost opportunity. So without making those recommendations and without following through on your decline work and letting them make the decisions, I think that's a big cause of why some service departments fail. In our case, we're going after that low-hanging fruit. We're grabbing it and we're talking about it.
And Ted, are you getting them up to speed during write-up that multi-point inspection video is going to happen today and they will be seeing that? Is that something that's important?
Absolutely. And in fact, through the years, I've been with this dealership 7 years. Through the years, with constant conversation, they're looking for it. They want that inspection. They want to know the health of the vehicle. It's important for them to, for future purchases, to know where they're going and what to be prepared for.
And I think that's pretty important. I mean, Chris, you're an all-encompassing role, right? You're managing these collection of technicians from different manufacturers. How challenging is it sometimes to make sure that MPI gets done?
The first month or two when we started really hitting the head, trying to get the multi-point done, it was a challenge. But the second that they saw that there's an actual reward for it,
yes,
every time. I mean, they're sending pictures, they're solidifying what they're trying to sell, and the customers, they just eat it up. They absolutely love it.
Yes,
they really do.
So. I love it, Ryan. That's the big challenge for you as well, isn't it? It's within each store, that manager making sure those technicians are rewarded with that same vehicle if it comes back in after the MPI is done. It's been a month, and now they're coming back in to get the work done. You want that back to that same technician to prove that his efforts were still rewarding him with that additional work.
Absolutely, yes. That's just going to drive the buy-in and help them understand what the value truly is in doing that. Along with the customers buying into it, we need the advisors and the techs too as well. So yeah, it's imperative that work goes back to the technician that did the initial inspection.
Would I be fair to say, in all three of you guys' stores, you're not just relying on recalls and warranty work to come in. You're creating, through these customers coming back in with sold work, you're creating RO counts in your stores. And I'm guessing you're going to be taking full advantage of that in 26, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's something special about sold work driving in the door, isn't there?
Makes our jobs easier, for sure.
Yeah, that is great. That is outstanding. What, Ryan? You're asked to forecast 2026. You're into 2026 now. We're practically a month into it. Are those conversations about not relying on the outside, roadblocks and all the outside noise, not determining the success of your stores?
Sorry, I really don't understand the question. You lost me.
Yeah, I guess
I'm sorry.
Let me rephrase it. It's so easy with a lot of outside and noise is going in the industry of car sales being down, of used car reconditioning not necessarily being as fruitful as it was in the past with all the pressures of the economy. That's not an excuse to grow your service departments, I believe, at your stores. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely not. No, and that's, that it all ties back into what we just discussed today. The quality MPI, having that discussion with the customer, being able to tell the story, following up on declines, setting that plan to loop the vehicles back in. That's what's going to drive our business forward. From a fixed side or a service side, we can't rely on internal work or warranty work or, we're getting plenty of appointments, creating plenty of CPROs. It's our job to continue to manufacture more and grow the service drive.
Yeah, love it. Gentlemen, would it be fair to say that the fortune is in the follow-up and that you are definitely in the follow-up business? And isn't it amazing and great how all these new tools that we've had in the last couple of years, you mentioned the video inspections, X-Time, UVI, doing that MRI, if you will, of the vehicle. Customers now expect it, right? Imagine if we took it away. The customers like the transparency, and you're actually helping them make a decision with these pictures and videos. So congratulations to all of you. I know this is going to be an amazing year, 2026, and congratulations to you on all the success. Now, I know that you are not here by accident. You know Don Andres because he's actually been working with your dealerships. Don, tell me about that. You actually go into dealerships and help them, boots on the ground, in increasing these best practices, if you will.
Yeah, it's been a great transition from being in the retail world now to having my own company and doing this, because you're right. You get asked to go in and do a 2-day analysis with the company, and invariably you start to see this lack of engagement. And the minute you start to talk about these techniques, people embrace them. Writers, it makes sense. It's not hard. I think you guys can agree. Once you are into that routine of a pre-work order and that, it becomes an easier way to approach the day and not the chaoticness. So yeah, I've enjoyed the ability to go around the country, talk about some of these things, and know that they're all highly productive techniques. And I think you guys are living proof of that. Ted, I think you're considered the top service writer in the Wahlberg organization. Am I speaking out of turn?
No, you're not. I am one of the top producers, and it's based on the inspection. I mean,
and how many service advisors in the Wahlberg organization?
67.
Okay. So these techniques work and actually give you the results. Chris, that leadership that you've had for the last 8 years at that store, and that stability at those stores, which they didn't necessarily have prior to you coming in, is a real tribute to your techniques being consistent. Would that be right?
Absolutely. I mean, consistency is everything. The second that you don't do the same thing you did prior, it discredits everything that you worked for. So you have to be consistent.
Wow. That's a great way to say it. That's a great way to say it. And Ryan, the learning curve in the world of fixed operations, it's impressive what you've accomplished in a short amount of time, but you have a great understanding of the really one or two really important things that need to get done every day. Would that be right?
Yes. Yeah. And just touching on what, Chris said about having retention, from a customer perspective as well, if they're coming in every 6 months and they're having to speak to a new advisor or see, unfamiliar faces, they're starting over from square one. So that retention side, as far as customer familiarity and them being comfortable as well, I think that's a key point that Chris was making.
Well, these are some real leaders, Ted, and
Yep.
thank you
Great
for
job.
inviting us to spend some time just talking about success.
Oh, I have enjoyed this, Don. Chris, Ryan, and Ted, we get to do this, Don and I, at the Fixed Ops Roundtable 4 times a year. I'd like to invite you all back. We're going to have another event, and it's amazing how much in our industry it changes every few months. So I'd love to have you come back with Don and, take this up a couple notches and tell us what you're experiencing as we get into the spring market. And congratulations to Ted Ambrose, Chris Penrod, Ryan Brunk for being here. For more information, everybody, you can reach out to Don Andres on the web. You see in the scroll down below. You can reach him on his website. He's super active on social media. Don, I love the videos and posts. Thank you. Congratulations on all you're doing. And everybody, great success ahead in 2026. And thank you for all you do for the industry.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation.
Everybody, Don Andres and the retail panel here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Recon doesn't slow down because teams aren't working hard. It slows down when execution breaks between steps. Repair 360 connects the entire reconditioning process into one workflow, from appraisal and inspection to vendors, approvals, and billing. See where vehicles stall, act on delays, track total recon spend per vehicle in real time. Built-in messaging keeps every conversation, photo, and decision tied directly to the repair order. And with direct dealer track integration, repair orders sync automatically, from vehicle receipt to completed right back. Fewer stalled vehicles, predictable timelines, protected gross. Repair 360, the execution system behind Recon.
There are a lot of competitors out there. What we're looking for, though, is the total package.
CDK is a proven solution. The support is ongoing, the development is ongoing, and for us, there is no other solution.
I really believe they know our business, they know the automotive space, and more they continue to be able to help us use the system the way we want to do business.
That relationship is really what this is all about. You don't have a relationship with software, you have a relationship with the individuals behind the software. That's what we're really comfortable with CDK.
Up next, learn why ALLDATA is trusted by more than 400,000 technicians in over 115 shops worldwide.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have the ALLDATA panel, and Ted, Erik Zuniga is here with us and going to share a lot of incredible information today.
Sarah, you're so right. Erik, it's good to have you back. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted, Sarah. Before I jump into our discussion today, I just want to clarify that even though I work for ALLDATA, my opinions and strategies I'm going to talk about today are my own, and really based on my personal observations about driving success in dealerships. They don't represent one company or one standard OEM. But it was great seeing you earlier this year at NADA, and just really a great time interacting with a lot of dealerships and leaders across the country.
Absolutely. And Erik, since we last spoke, 2026 has proven to see a significant shift in the market, to say the least. We're seeing a real change in how dealers are prioritizing their departments as new vehicle inventory levels have changed across the board. Erik, what's the main conversation that you're having with fixed ops directors right now as they navigate these changes?
Yeah, what really stood out as I looked at some of the data from last month is just really how repair order volume and revenue were both up. So that shows good demand in fix ops, so that's showing some strength there. And at the same time, inventory has started to normalize for used vehicles. So there's really pressure. There's really that pressure on volume. There's not that pressure about volume, it's the pressure on execution. And so that tells us that demand's not the issue, it's execution. And that's really in those conversations I've been having with dealers and leaders across the country is really about how efficiently that shop is operating, how quickly those vehicles are moving through diagnostics, through recon workflows, and how much more productivity you're going to get out of the team that you already have. Well, I spend most of my time in fix ops. You can't separate service from the rest of the dealership. And I'm finding affordability as still a factor for consumers as we look at some of the research and data, and that's impacting buying decisions. So more, as we all know, more customers are holding their vehicles longer, and that puts more importance on the service lane to really maintain and repair those vehicles effectively and properly.
Erik, you touched on and mentioned the pressure on the service lane. With inventory levels changing, how does that impact the priority list for a service director?
Yes, Sarah, it really makes the used vehicle recon process one of the most important workflows in the building. The data that we looked at last month show that used inventory is still tight and moving, which means you can't afford delays in recon or service. Every day a vehicle sits is lost opportunity. So the priority shifts to speed and consistency. And it's about how quickly you can get a vehicle diagnosed, repaired, and back to the front line. So we're seeing more focus on eliminating those bottlenecks. A lot of conversations I've been having been talking about that, tightening the internal processes, and making sure that every tool in the shop is actually driving efficiency.
Erik, I think that leads us perfectly into the use of AI and new technologies that are entering the space. You're seeing it, we're seeing it. What are you seeing specifically there, and how should dealers be thinking about it right now?
Yeah, that's good. A lot of noise about AI right now, and rightfully so. So the biggest shift I'm seeing is not the technology itself, it's how customers are starting to interact with that information. And so to build on that conversation, there's an additional layer that's starting to emerge on top of traditional search engine optimization, or SEO. And that's people are starting to call generative engine optimization, or GEO. So for years, we've all focused on search engines and SEO, making sure your dealership shows up when someone searches online. And that's still important. That hasn't gone completely away, but it's changing how consumers and customers are doing their search. So they're not just doing their search, they're asking AI tools direct questions and getting answers immediately. So instead of typing, best dealership near me and clicking through websites, they're asking an AI tool to get a recommendation, best dealership to buy a car, best dealership to get my vehicle serviced. And so it's really changed the visibility and how it works, including pricing. I think that's part of the reason why pricing is kind of stabilized right now, is consumers have that information immediately. And it's not creating a new type of customer. It's really empowering the one that already exists. Buyers today are more, we already know they're more likely to do significant research before making a big purchase decision. And AI is just making that process faster and more direct. So as consumers gain more visibility into pricing across similar vehicles, it creates a more informed buyer, which can naturally put pressure on margins and makes that operational efficiency even more important.
Erik, this is all so interesting. What should dealers do with all this new information?
Yeah, so one thing I've been talking about to dealership leaders is challenging everybody to do a quick exercise. So go into an AI tool and ask it, who's the top dealership in the major city or market that you're in? All right, so in terms of sales, so where should I buy my car from in X city, right? And then take a look at, if you're on the service side, where should I take my vehicle to get serviced for my car? And take a look at what comes back from that information. And here's the deal. If it's not your store, your location's recommended, ask the AI why. Why did you not recommend mine as the top, right?
Wow.
And also ask it, why did you recommend this other dealership as the number one recommended one to go to?
Wow.
So it really signals that ranking, finding out why that other dealership was ranked higher. So, and don't just do it once. You've got to do it across all the major AI platforms. So you need to get that feedback and see. A lot of times in the discussions that I've had, I found often it's consistent across some of the different AI tools, and some of their markets it's not, right? And then you need to find out why. And so it really has a lot to do with dealership reputation and consistency and how your dealership's showing across those different data sources. And so we just have to think differently than the traditional searches that consumers have done in the past. It's no longer about being found, which is what SEO was all about. It's about being selected. And so that means your website, your reviews, your overall digital presence, it all plays a role into whether or not you're even a part of that conversation.
It's amazing. Erik, before we go, what's the one thing that a fixed ops director, let's say watching today, should go back and check in their shop, let's say tomorrow morning?
Yeah, no, that's good. I'll think of one operational and one forward-looking item. So first, go look at your used recon line and check your average days to front line. With inventory still tight, every day in recon is a lost opportunity. And second, start thinking about how your dealership shows up, not just in results, but in the AI-generated answers like I talked about, because that's where the customer's attention is going. So when you take a step back and you look at where we're at today, it's important to recognize that this industry has gone through multiple shifts over time with technology. And ALLDATA has really been a part of that evolution for over 40 years. And starting with the digitizing of OEM information and continuing to evolve alongside the increasing complexity of OEM vehicles and technology. So we've seen that transition from paper manuals to digital systems, from static data to connected workflows, now AI-driven environments. So that's what's remained consistent is the importance of accuracy, experience, and supporting technicians with the right information at the right time. So, kind of closing out, we have our teams like our Tech Assist group, which are made up of ASC master technicians, our library teams maintaining OEM accuracy, and our experienced support teams that understand how this plays out in the dealer world. So as we look ahead, there's a lot of innovation that's happening on how we use data and AI continuing to improve shop efficiency and building that confidence in the repair process. So I can't get into the specifics, but there's some exciting developments that are focused on helping shops operate more effectively in this changing environment. So just want to say, if you're interested in taking a closer look at how your operation, how your dealership is positioned well for the way that things are going, you can scan the QR code or go to the alldataconnect.com website and set up some time. Would love to partner with you and talk about this more.
Ted, this is so exciting. A lot of incredible innovation coming from ALLDATA.
Absolutely. Erik, anything else you could share in terms of updates or anything else you want to share with our audience while we're here?
Yeah, just definitely connect with me. There's a lot of exciting new products that are coming out. And, again, we're always looking for strong partnerships, especially for no matter your dealership size, if you're 1 to 5 or 20 plus, we have a solution that's going to work great for your dealership. So we always love to get your feedback. And if you want to try something else different, maybe you are with us now and you want to expand to one of our newer products, we can take a look. Or if you're not with us and you want to see what we can do with your dealer group, definitely reach out, because we got a lot of exciting things that I'm certain you're going to be interested in checking out.
Everybody, alldataconnect.com is the way to get more information. Erik Zuniga here today on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. ALLDATA, a great name in our industry. Sarah, we're so honored to have Erik and ALLDATA here with us.
We are, Ted. And thank you so much again, Erik. Visit alldataconnect.com to learn more.
Everybody, from Erik from ALLDATA here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you.
Ryan Rohrman shares how Rohrman Restored is a family-focused corporate assistance program designed to support its 1,300 employees in our next segment.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we are with Rohrman Automotive Group at Schaumburg Kia for their big grand opening. And Ted, an exciting conversation around Rohrman Restored with us today.
It's been an exciting day meeting the people of Rohrman. We have on the panel with us today Nick Ruffolo, we have Ryan Rohrman, and we have Ricky Perez. Gentlemen, thank you so much for having us and hosting us.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Well, Ryan, to kick things off, Rohrman Restored is more than a program. It's a reflection of servant-minded leadership. And what inspired you to create it, and why was it important to invest in employees this way?
Yeah, so the heartbeat of who we are as a company really lies inside of our core values. And so we say that we work for tips. And so inside of our tips mantra, it's transparency, it's innovation, it's being personable, and then lastly, it's being servant. And so it really aligns with not only who we are, but what we do, whether it's internally or externally, right? And so Rohrman Restored, we founded almost 3 years ago. And at the end of this month, we're actually going to hit just shy of $3 million given back to our employees. So, we have roughly 1,300 employees over 3 states. And just shy of 1,800 employees have utilized that program in the last almost 3 years. So it just aligns with who we are and what we stand for and what we do. So we know that, these beautiful facilities are awesome. But there's other Kia stores, there's other Honda stores that are just as beautiful. What makes it unique is the people that are inside. And so we are very people-centric. We believe that experience is everything. Our purpose statement is driving relationships, awesome experiences. So we say, no matter what we do, in all things that we do, we want to drive a relationship, whether it's with each other or with our customer base, while giving an awesome experience. And so we want to live that out. It's part of our culture. And so Rohrman Restored aligns really well with that. If you really care about people, and we do, and we care about our people, this is just one of those ways where it's like, hey, hard times happen. That outlet to get help. Sometimes you don't know what to do. And it's not a solve all by any means, but it's there if and when you need it. And that's what it's there. It's a supportive program. It's fully funded by the auto group, and some of our partners participate inside of that, and a lot of our employees actually give to it as well. So,
as a follow-up, I want to come to all three with you on the next question. Ryan, you mentioned the 1,300 employees and team members. Nick and Ricky, and then Ryan, what kind of impact has Rohrman Restored had on your people and on your culture? If I take that.
Teddy, that's an awesome question. Being in the role that I am in and being direct and having a close relationship with a lot of the staff that's here, the tenure that we have, I keep hearing all the positive, and they're out there saying the same thing as they're interviewing members that come in. And, sometimes they just come out to me, he's like, man, I don't know if you know this, but can you please let Ryan or one of the Rohrmans know? Thank you. We have individuals that are our region, that are their go-tos. So the employees can go and contact them direct. So it's it's quieter, so no one has to know what's going on with someone's personal items or what needs to be addressed. But same token, the Rohrmans are here to support, I think it's great.
I know it's like some of our employees that ran into a little bit of financial difficulties, but I know one that fell behind on their rent, and then the Rohrman Restored prevented them from getting it picked. And it's stuff like that on a grand scale. I've never worked for a company that does that. It's just awesome.
And Ryan?
Yeah, I think that it's There's a lot of cool stories, and we really protect anyone who submits into it. We really protect, like, to the point of, like, I don't know. All I know is the dollar amounts. Like, I don't know unless the employee wants to share testimony. I don't know where the money goes or who it helps. It's fully ran by a charitable company based out of Atlanta. So so that's really neat. But it's like running into, like, Ricky's example. We had a salesman that worked for us. He still works for us for years. He's having troubles with his knees walking around, and so he got basically a motorized feeder, and, like, restored. Gave him that. It extended his career. He's still selling cars today, even this year. So there's so many neat stories of just. We had another guy. He works in our body shop in Lafayette, Indiana. He was born deaf in one ear, and so never had hearing. And for whatever reason, as he aged, he was losing his hearing in his other ear. As of today, he is able to hear out of both ears now. Not fully, but with the help of the Rohrman Restored program. So there's so many of these stories of just lives being changed and impact. Like we want to, we have an opportunity to do a lot more than just selling service cars. And so if we have the opportunity, we want to take it. And that's one of the things that we do. Is that it's fun. It's fun to put a smile on someone's face when you can.
Ryan, most dealerships talk about culture, but this is really action. How has Rohrman Restored changed the way employees feel about working for the organization?
Yeah, I love the word culture. 2018 is when we kind of did our rebrand of who we are. And so in my inner circle, like my director team, and even some of the general managers, our number one rule was we are not using the word culture. Like, we knew we wanted to change the culture, but we're not going to say, hey, we're changing the culture. It was very much we're going to do what we're asking people to do. And if we're consistent in doing that, we know that is the change of the culture. And it will naturally happen from the top down as we do what we're asking everyone else to do. And so, Rohrman Restored is great. It's a phenomenal program for the employees. It's just one part of what we're doing, though, as a team, and as it redefines our culture. So it definitely makes us sticky. I think that if you don't want to work for a company that does this stuff, to be quite frank, we don't want you to work for us either. Like, we want to have a shared vision and shared values with all 1,300 of our employees. And so this is just one of those things where it's like, can you get behind this? Does this make sense to you? And if you're like, yeah, that's really cool, guess what? We think it's pretty cool too. That's Siren knows. But yeah.
This is incredible, Ted, and it's amazing to hear action really with this incredible organization.
Yeah, it's all part of a big day we have here at the Rohrman Automotive Group. Very grateful to the team, the leadership team here at Rohrman and Schaumburg Kia. Sarah Vantine and I will be right back.
you.